I hate it every single time. It defaults to create a new goddamn event post.
Is this
Um,
a thing you need to use to stream on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously?
yeah, because I just don't have good enough internet to do it natively in OBS. So I do have a plugin that will allow me to do that, but I don't have the
Right.
capability of doing it. But yeah, so that's annoying, and I would be fine creating event posts in here, except for the fact that it puts a massive restream watermark over the thumbnail, which is like that looks like shit. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's I suppose get this link out to the good people on Discord. Um, also have to delete that like 12-second stream that I just did there. So copy link address. Really got a cut, yes indeed.
Oh, I think you're live. At least like the page I had on discussing the button question, you seem to be live there. Nice
Yeah,
cut, by the way.
thank you. All right. That should be good. Apologies everybody for this kind of shambolic stream starting here. A shambolic thumbnail is what I'm looking at. I hate this piece of shit thumbnail, but I just couldn't be bothered thinking of something good. Um, yeah, no, so yeah, it's a little bit of a gruesome twosome stream today. I'm joined obviously with Acorn here. He wanted to discuss some of the stuff relating to that button question from a little bit ago.
Yep.
Tim Urban from WaitBitY posted this Twitter poll. The basic idea is you can it's the red button and the blue button. We discussed it on the Remnant. Everybody knows this. We can go into it more detail in a minute. He wasn't able to discuss it at the time, but I wasn't sure if there would be enough meat to make an entire stream out of just that. So we're deciding, okay, well, we can do that for like one half of the stream. Then the later half of the stream, we can do a reaction to some communist. I just found some random video to do like a response to. So that's what we're doing. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to still stoop to using goddamn Discord's shitty YouTube watch together thing because that's why the stream was late. Because I was trying to get my Jellyfin server working, which it was working before, and it'll be way better when I finally get that up and running. But I wasn't able to get it working, so I was like, okay, I'll update. And it was taking like way too long to update, so I had to just call it off and then start the stream. So apologies for that. But anyway, Acorn, I suppose introduce yourself for those who are not aware.
Um, I mean, I'm not sure how to introduce myself. I guess I call myself an anarcho-capitalist and objectivist student. I'm mostly like I call myself a student because like I haven't done too much of the reading yet, so I don't feel comfortable like calling myself a proper objectivist scholar yet, and I do need to get more reading done. But I do like thinking about these philosophical problems, and especially this red button and blue button one. It's something that I've been thinking about similar stuff from before I even properly studied objectivist philosophy, and I guess I'm curious like to see how we can apply like our current model of philosophy to this problem. And also, I it's like that's the reason I'm really excited about this question when it first appeared around May. But I was too busy at the time to actually join in the conversation. But there are a few arguments that I've seen you make, Zulu, that I disagree with, and I think that there are some blue button arguments that can be made better. So I'm hoping to do that here. Um, a quick background on like my interactions with the button question. Like, I'm technically a blue buttoner because I was checking X just as I woke up that day, and I was still groggy, and I thought it was just one of those, insignificant and fun questions. So I didn't really read the question properly, and just went, "Hey, let's all live," and press the blue button. And so that was on like Tim, I can't remember his surname, but Tim's post. And then I saw your post on it, and you were talking about how it's obviously you should pick red. So I reconsidered the question. I was like, oh right, so that's what the buttons do. And then like, yeah, so if this exact problem actually happened in real life, I think red is the correct option, because the vote was really close, and like since it's a Twitter post, right? So like there's lack of actual consequences. The answer would be biased towards blue. So in real life, like blue is very likely to die. Although even though I'm red buttoner for this specific scenario, I don't think we should limit ourselves to investigating this specific question, but try to uncover the underlying principles of how to analyze similar problems. And yeah, so that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, yeah, so obviously for like a background on my position on this, compared to yours, he sounds kind of I mean, Eduardo seems to be having problems with your mic. It seems fine. I don't know. It sounds fine to me. Yeah, I think you're just pointing out that he doesn't have like a big, expensive XLR microphone. Like he's just got a regular person's microphone, unfortunately. I think it's fine for these purposes. Unless I've got some crazy filter on there, which I don't realize, and then I'll listen back to this and go, oh, that sounds like shit.
I probably do need to update my microphone though. Like it is kind of, it doesn't seem like it's falling apart, although sometimes it just completely glitches out and I say something when it's not muted and nobody hears me, and just very random sometimes. So yeah, I definitely need to get a new one.
Yeah, but so anyway, my position on this is, I've got it up on screen here. Everyone in the world has to take a private vote by pressing a red or blue button. If more than 50% of people press the blue button, everyone survives. If less than 50% of people press the blue button, only people who press the red button survive. Which button would you press? My take on this is that red is the only rational choice. Because red is in fact opt out. That's what red means. It means I'm not playing this suicide game. Blue means you're joining a suicide pact that only triggers if the suicide pact doesn't get big enough. I think it's irrational to even entertain the idea of joining this suicide pact. And I also don't think that it would necessarily, that blue is going to win in real life or anything. But there are many arguments that people have had over the... Now, Chronic's mic was always like, this is not Chronic, Nilfon. this is Acorn, completely different accent.
I accept a compliment though. I like Chronic, he's a great guy.
Yeah, what sorts of arguments... because I don't remember all of the discourse from the time. What were your, like, kind of the arguments I was making which you had a problem with?
I've got a few on the list, but I first want to start with just less of a argument that you've made, but like on the question of the general validity of this hypothetical situation. So like in this thing, it says everyone in the world has to take a private vote by pressing a red or blue button. Is this like valid as a hypothetical? Do we need to flesh out the mechanism? Like if it's natural causes or murder, of like how they die?
So I mean, I don't think it necessarily... So, because the question doesn't say murder, if it says murder, all those people are murdered, well then I think it's a different kind of hypothetical, because then it's asking a legal question. Whereas I don't think this is asking a legal question. I think people are mistaken when they're reading this as a legal question. From the hypothetical, all we know is that pressing blue causes you to die unless enough other people press blue. So that's just... I don't necessarily think you need to know how blue kills them, just that if you press blue, that will cause you to die.
Okay, got it. So one thing that you've okay, so now I'm going to the argument that you've made. So you've said that this is basically comparable to like a death gamble, right? Like pressing blue is what kills you. And I've seen this like meme on the internet where it's basically reframing the question as blue is the ultimate death gamble. Like presses, and it's like a lot of dramatic flair around it of like, oh, this is such a cool looking thing. And like if you press it, unless 50% of other people press it, you die. And red is just a really boring, just nothing happens button. And I do agree that functionally this is what the button does, but I do think that this is not the same question, like in terms of like what you should do in this situation, because in the case of the death gamble machine, it's the difference in presentation, and because of the presentation as the death gamble machine, there'll be a lot more red buttoners in the automatic death gamble scenario, as it explains to the midwits what the buttons actually do, so that will change the outcome. Do you think that matters at all?
No, because I definitely agree that if you change the presentation and if you actually explain to really stupid people what these buttons literally do, that more people will click red, which kind of indicates that perhaps red is the correct choice there. If you explain more deeply what the buttons do, then more people end up clicking red. So I don't think it matters. I don't think you should take the death gamble when you're not. So there's two sides to this. I don't think you should take the death gamble, on given that that there's plenty of idiots out there who will also take the death gamble because of the way it's presented, and they're not as smart as the people watching the stream or you or I. There's also the other aspect to it, which me and Monhop pointed out in our Remnant episode, is that there is no strategy you can implement where you will ever switch the vote, where you either switch the results from the blue people dying to the blue people not dying. You simply will never be in that situation, because this is one single trial of this vote. You've only got this one trial, and given the number of people, we calculated it out at the time. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it is vanishingly low odds that in that trial you're going to be the swing vote, because it's only if you're the swing vote. That's the only instance where it is possible to save the blue people where they would otherwise die. That's the only situation. So I don't think the fact of how you frame the question, and that will cause there to be more blue people than otherwise, I don't think that should have any change on your strategy going into it. The only thing, the way you should think about it is, the only thing you can influence is whether you maybe die or definitely don't die. That's the only thing you can influence, and of course you pick definitely don't die.
Okay, so I understand that the probability of you being the swing vote is basically 0. Okay, so I've got a counter hypothetical to you, and I'm curious to see if you'll bite the bullet on this one or not. I actually saw someone on the Remnant podcast mention the Martians once, and I was really worried that they beat me to my idea, but luckily they didn't. So here's my version of the Martian hypothetical. What if the Martians came to Earth and gave people the choice to either give up a penny as tribute to them or not? Unless 50% of people choose to give up their wealth, like that 1 penny, the Martians will blow up the Earth. Should you give up your penny? Same scenario where no communications are allowed, it's just one trial, the aliens come to Earth.
Okay, so more than 50% of people have to give up their penny in order to prevent the Earth from blowing up.
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, I think it's rational to give up the penny, because that is an infinitesimally small detriment towards you. And you can definitely get a loan for a penny from any reputable person. I think, let's just assume for the sake of it that either it's the case that everybody on Earth is capable of getting a penny, or at least enough people are capable of getting a penny, or it isn't. If it's not the case that enough people are capable, then there's no strategy I can implement to save my life.
Let's just say that every person has access to at least 1 penny.
Yeah. Okay, so then, yeah, you definitely give up your penny, because your life is on the line.
But this seems to contradict your earlier point about how it's basically impossible for you to change the outcome of the vote. And same thing here. You are 1 vote in the billions of people on Earth, and the chance of you being the swing vote is basically 0. It's so I think Monhop on the stream gave the example of how even if you the probability of picking a random atom out of every atom in the universe, it still pales in comparison to that. And actually, when Monhop was doing the calculations on ChatGPT, he was doing a 50-50 coin flip thing. But the probabilities get drastically even less when it's not 50-50, because obviously in this case it won't be people flipping a coin to whether to give away their coin, right? So even if you are Elon Musk, right, and you are a trillionaire, the news just broke recently that Elon became a trillionaire. Yeah, so even if you are a trillionaire like Elon Musk, and I said penny, but let's just say what about a cent, because he's an American, right? So it'll be 1 out of 100 trillion percent. Sorry, not percent, just fraction. It'll be 1 out of 100 trillion. That will be the percentage of his wealth that Elon Musk would be giving away. But the chances of him actually swinging the vote is very, very, very below even that. So essentially, why would you give up a penny if it doesn't change the vote of determining whether you survive or not?
So the way I see it is, in Monhop's example of picking out like one atom from a pile of like trillions of atoms, if someone's got a gun to your head and it's like, hey, run that random number generator. If it comes up 1, then you live. If it comes up any other real number, up to 50 quadrillion, then you die. It's like, well, okay, I might as well, you know, because I consider losing a penny as basically not losing anything at all. Maybe you could make the costs high enough to where it's like, yeah, no, don't bother. But it's hard to see how you could make the costs high enough because, I mean, your life is on the line here. I think that's the difference, is that your life is already on the line. It's not you choosing to put your life on the line for this infinitesimal chance that you change anything. It's your life is already on the line, and you've got this infinitesimal chance to save yourself.
Okay, so would you say that even if the aliens demand everything you own, like 100% of your wealth, and like it offers this to everyone, so everyone either chooses to give 100% of their wealth or they don't, like even if 99% of their wealth is equivalent to not giving anything at all to the aliens. So everyone needs to either give 100% of their wealth to them or not, and it's still the 50%. If 50% of the people living on Earth give 100% of the wealth to the alien, then the aliens won't blow up the Earth, or vice versa. Would you say that you should give away all of your wealth, even in this case?
So I think it probably depends on your situation. So if you're obvious, so like for me, I'm still fairly young, so I can still have a life to like build up. You know, if I got wiped out, all my finances were immediately set to 0 right now. It would suck, definitely. But I would have a chance to, like, you know, get a job and start building up again in this, like, I suppose, post-apocalypse. That would be, because all capital gets wiped out. So I think from my perspective, I would be like, yeah, I'll give up all my money to try and survive, assuming that I'm, like, you know, reasonably confident that the aliens can indeed follow through on their threat and so on and so forth. But maybe there are other situations you could be in where it's like, no, if I get wiped out all my money now, then I'm as good as dead anyway. Like, I'm fucked from that point forward. Maybe some people could be in that situation.
So, what would be the standards of judging if you are in that situation or not?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could give you anything too concrete there. It seems very. I've only got vibes as far as that's concerned. I haven't thought this through well enough.
Do you think it is a continuum problem of like, if on one end you should always give away the 1 penny, and on the 100% of your wealth case, it's like it depends on like what would happen to you afterwards.
Well, so I don't think it's necessarily there is a principal difference between the two. It's just that giving up the penny is such a low cost that I can't imagine anybody where their life is completely destroyed and they can never achieve any values any longer if they give up a penny. Like, I can't imagine what type of person that would be.
But based on the argument that like you can't change the vote, it's basically giving away a penny for nothing. Because like you say that you consider giving away a penny nothing, but like giving like the chances of you changing the vote is like less than that even. So what if we just like switch it up slightly, like not to all of your wealth, but just like £1,000, let's say, or even like percentage-wise, so it applies like roughly similarly to like people of all different wealth. Let's say you give away 50% of your wealth, so you would still live, but it will severely like hinder your living standards. Like, would you give away 50% of should you give away 50% of your wealth for the basically zero chance of actually changing the outcome of whether you live or die?
I mean, maybe not. Like, I'm not sure where the where the correct line is on that. It definitely seems like the amount that you're giving up definitely does matter, because you can imagine on like one reduction case, where you're not even having to give up any money. You're just having to give up an opportunity. Namely, you have to wave your arm in the air, and if more than 50% of people wave their arm in the air one time, then the aliens go, "Oh God, they've got arms. This is scary," and then they bugger off. Like that would be. It is. I cannot imagine that being like any sort of a debilitating opportunity cost on anybody. That seems like perhaps even less of a cost than a penny. And you can like keep going and going and going. Like the aliens want to pick up your trash. And it's like, hey, let us pick up your trash instead of the city this week. Or else, if 50% of people refuse, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. Like trash is in fact a disutility upon me. So yeah, get rid of it.
I do think that is a relevant distinction. Then, like if it changes through a minor, like you lose a minor utility into you losing a disutility. I think that there is a fundamental difference there. Of like, of course, you want the aliens to take away your trash if you don't want the trash. Of course, if you want the trash for some reason, then it's no longer disutility. But I do think that matters in hypothetical. So if we consider that the chance of you changing the vote is 0, it's basically, do you give away something good for nothing? That would basically be the hypothetical in this penny case. And in the trash case, it will be, do you give away something negative for nothing? So like, I can see how that's a clear distinction between why you might want to answer like no compared to yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I've also got a second Martian hypothetical, where instead of so I basically try to scale the cost of the red button. So here's a hypothetical: the Martians come and press a button in their spaceship, which teleports every human into a white box. If they stay, they are trapped in the box as a pet for the Martians, but they have the opportunity to press a blue button to return to Earth, in which case they will return every human back to Earth and leave without changing anything, only if at least 50% of the people press the blue button. Do you need to repeat that? I think it might be a bit convoluted, but if you think that it's disanalogous to the question, please point out the disanalogy.
So in this case, the clicking the blue button is the opt-out button. It's trying to return things back to normal. Whereas in the original hypothetical, red is the opt-out button. I think that's the disanalogy.
So in this case, if you don't press, I was considering that like staying there and not doing anything as like the opt-out of. So basically, if you don't do anything, you stay as a pet for the Martians. They'll feed you and stuff, but you won't get any freedom. If you do press the blue button, so they will. Okay, maybe I didn't quite memorize like my hypothetical correct enough. I'm not sure if I said this earlier, but if 50%, at least 50% of the people press the blue button to return to Earth, the aliens will leave without, will return all the humans to Earth and leave without changing anything. But if less than 50% of people return to Earth, they'll blow up the. I think I forgot the blowing up the Earth part earlier. So basically, if less than 50% of the people press the blue button, everyone who pressed the blue button will get returned to Earth, and then Earth gets blown up, so they die.
I see. So I mean, in this case, if nobody presses the blue button, it's like, well, Earth might as well be blown up at this point because we're never going to be able to access it. And like, I mean, maybe there is. Are we like saying by like hypothetical fiat that like you're never breaking free of the Martians in any other way?
Yeah. So in the case where Earth gets blown up, the difference is whether you are on Earth when it blows up or not. So basically, pressing the red button means that you live your life alive, but as a pet for the Martians. Pressing the blue button means that you have a chance of either going back to the life you used to have, or you die because the Earth gets blown up.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, so you're not breaking free of the Martians any other way. Yeah, it seems like the rational thing to do is try and achieve freedom. I mean, obviously you're not going to swing the vote still, but so yeah, no, sorry, everybody gets teleported back. You were saying.
If the blue button succeeds, everyone gets teleported
okay,
back.
I see. Yeah, so then yeah, don't press the blue button.
Interesting. So what I'm trying to do with this hypothetical is basically scale up the cost of pressing the red button, i.e. doing nothing. So in the original button scenario, I don't think it's exactly like nothing happens. I don't think nothing happens is an accurate depiction of what pressing the red button does. It's basically the red button, it does nothing to you. It's not you're not participating, right? But like it's not the same as if the button pressing never happened, because if not enough people press the blue button, then all the blue buttoners die. So like almost 50% of humanity dies, and that will basically be an apocalypse, right? Like that will, so basically blue button in this case is basically you have a chance to die, but also you have a chance to, like, if the blue button succeeds, then truly nothing happens. It's like the button question never happened. With the red button, it's like you have no risk to dying. You have no risk to like your own life, but you risk, if you do survive, you risk an apocalypse happening. And this is an argument that I've seen some blue buttoners make, which is that if the red buttons are the majority, then I wouldn't want to live anyways, because it will be an apocalypse and like everyone dies. So I'm wondering, like, can you scale up that cost of the red button? Of like, okay, so instead of 50% of people dying, what if 50% of the people die, so like all the blue buttons die, but also a plague happens or like some other terrible thing happens to the red buttoners that live? So yeah, is that continuum, or do you think there's no principal difference in any side?
So I think the principal difference is that only the red people surviving, that's not like a direct cost being caused by clicking red. Whereas if you introduce like, and then a plague sweeps in, well, that is caused by clicking red, where it wouldn't happen if you clicked blue. So that is introducing like a principal difference that, depending on what counts as a cost, I suppose. If you wanted to be really pedantic, taking opportunity cost to move your finger down on a button is also a cost. But I think we can bracket off that sort of cost from the cost being everybody gets their skin peeled once a month.
Right. But I think I could like do you think that this changes the question fundamentally? If I make this alteration to the button question, where the blue button, the way that they die is that they explode in, let's say, a massive TNT explosion or something like that. I don't want to scale it all the way up to a nuclear explosion just yet, but let's say that if the blue buttons die, they die by exploding in a big explosion that would potentially harm red buttoners. Would that change anything at all? Does it matter how big the explosion actually is?
Well,
blue buttons are causing themselves to explode.
Well, if the explosion is big enough such that it kills red buttoners anyway, well then it's like, well, gee willikers, I guess I don't have, I just die. Like there's nothing. Then red is no longer you live.
So I guess okay. What if they just explode in a 2-meter radius? Everyone within 2 meters of a blue buttoner dies immediately. Would that change the question in any way? Do you think that is still analogous?
I don't think it's analogous because it's well, actually no. I think it is analogous because you don't want to turn into a bomb. I don't think it's a good idea to turn into a bomb and potentially kill people by exploding next to them. I think it's still rational to pick red, even if some suicide bomber next to you might blow you up. It's like, well, I gave it my best shot to survive.
Right. So let's say that if there is some people are starting a suicide pact of blowing themselves up, and if enough people join their suicide pact, none of them will get blown up. How about let's say this to make it more realistic. Let's say that there's a certain amount of like magical explosive powder that exists, and there's a cult that like controls them, right? That controls all of these explosive powders, and they are dividing it between themselves in basically small packets to light them together simultaneously to blow themselves up. But like, let's say that if it gets distributed enough, then the powder isn't enough to actually explode, and thus no one explodes. So it's basically the same question of like, if you join the suicide pact of blowing yourself up, if enough people do that, then no one gets blown up. But if there isn't enough people that join the pact, then all of these blue buttoners basically will they will suicide by blowing themselves up. So they are committing an aggression. But like, okay, yeah. So I guess that'll be an issue in this case, right? That if you join in, that you would be creating aggression too. What if you just like use the magical hypothetical where like somehow if you join this thing, it wouldn't be an aggression. But basically, so do you think it's valid to just say, oh, okay, hypothetically, it isn't an aggression to like just blow up?
It could be like the Martians again. They're going to use their targeting lasers, and they're going to target a certain number of people. And if you wave your hand and say, target me too, they're targeting laser. It might blow up and damage other people. But if there's too many targets, then their computer system shorts out, and they just go, oh, grr, curse you obnoxious kids, or whatever they say in Scooby-Doo. If it weren't for you meddling kids, and then they go home. Then yeah, I still think it's if somebody says, target me, Martians, and then they start targeting it, it's like, okay, well, yeah, get the fuck away from that guy. Don't target me.
So it's a general principle that it doesn't depend on basically how bad it would be if the blue buttoners won out. I mean, okay, so you said earlier that if all the blue buttoners become nuclear bombs, then they'll obviously, even if you're a red buttoner, you die anyways. Which
it's like hypothetical question. You die. What do you do? It's like, I don't know.
No, not necessarily. It's like, I think that in that question, so in the case where the blue buttoners turn into nuclear bombs and explode, there is a path forward to not dying, which is everyone, like at least 50% of people pressing the blue button, right? So if you're a red button and the blue button's been out, then yes, you do die as a red button.
Yeah, so I suppose in that case, then it does meaningfully change what's going on, because then it might as well say there's two buttons. If you click the red button, if less than 50% of people click the blue button, then everyone dies. If more than 50% click the blue button, then everyone lives. So then, yeah, click the blue button. Because it turns into like one of those scenarios from earlier where one of the other ones we were going over, I can't remember what the specifics were. Sorry, I'm not noting it down.
So I got distracted by what you mentioned, and I thought of another hypothetical. So in the nuclear bomb example, like red's gonna die if it just depends on whether blue lives or not, and if blue loses, then red loses as well. So that's different. But what if instead of red is guaranteed death if the blue buttons win, it's that every blue buttoner will die, and if for every blue buttoner that dies, they will take a red buttoner with them at random. So for the blue buttoners to die, it means that there needs to be less than 50% of people pressing blue and more than 50% of people pressing red, right? Which also means that there's going to be some amount of red people still alive. Blue means if blue loses, it's guaranteed death. If red loses, it's like you have a chance at living, but it's a probability.
So what would, I'm sorry, I wasn't following. What would it mean for red to lose in this situation?
Oh, basically, by lose, I just mean whether it's a minority or majority. I don't mean it as like victory, we won. So basically, same problem of like red button and blue button, except for every blue buttoner that dies, one red buttoner will die with them at random. That's the only modification.
Okay, so if red gets the majority, if red wins the vote, then a lot of red people are going to die anyway. Like some amount of them, depending on how many blues there were. If blue wins, then nobody dies. Yeah, so I think we have arrived at a continuum here. Because on the one end is the nuclear bomb example where if red wins, everyone dies. So you might as well pick blue to try and survive. Versus the other end, which is the original hypothetical where red guarantees survival and blue is maybe die. I think that's the continuum we're at here. And those are principally different, I think.
Okay. Um, I've got a new idea that I want to like explore, and hopefully, like after discussing that idea, we can link it back to the hypotheticals that I mentioned previously. Um, Actually, before that, I've got 2 points. I'm not sure if I should jump over them or not. Okay, maybe I'll jump over them for now, and we can come back to it later. Um, So I'm not that well read on objectivist ethics, as I've mentioned. I've only just started reading The Fountainhead recently, and I don't fully understand what altruism and selfishness means yet. But I agree that altruism that destroys values is bad, such as giving up your favorite shirt or giving charity to evil people who choose poverty. But I think that that can be a sort of selfish altruism, which is basically something that seems altruistic, but it's actually just low time preference selfishness. And I think that's what Blue Button's high trust society argument is getting at. Um, it's sort of related tangent, but what do you think of falling on a grenade, especially when you use your own body to cover a grenade to save others nearby?
Well, I think the idea is that if the grenade goes off, then you're very likely to die as well. Whereas if so, I suppose there are different scenarios. There could be the grenade is thrown into the bunker. It's enclosed enough such that every motherfucker in that bunker is going to die if that grenade goes off. So then it's like, okay, well, you might as well throw yourself on the grenade. It's, you know, you're not going to save yourself either way. Or the other scenario is you could get behind cover, in which case, run for cover. Don't jump on the grenade. That's just suicidal.
Okay, so what if there's a situation where there's a grenade tossed in your direction, and you can try to flee and probably lose a limb but stay alive, but you will get harmed still. But many others will also be wounded or killed if you run for it. Or you can fall on the grenade and cover it, and you will definitely die, but you will also save the others. Are you think that you should flee because, the worst case scenario is like you lose a limb or something?
Yeah, I think you should flee.
Okay, so what if the situation is like you're in a situation like this with people you love? Would you do the same answer?
Yeah, and I would want them to flee as well. I think because I think a lot of the altruist rosy goggles can kind of be pulled away if you think, what would you recommend other people to do? And like the same in the button scenario. If you could coach your child on which one to pick, you'd say pick red 100% of the time, because people often are more able to be selfish for others than they are for themselves. I think this is even like a Jordan Peterson thing. Is he says like treat yourself as you would treat a loved one, care for yourself like you care for a loved one, and obviously I would not advocate that anybody I loved jump on a grenade. I would advocate that they get the hell out of there.
I think that it's context dependent. What I want other people to do. So here's okay. So let me try to see if I can present my ideas on this. Let's say that you are in a strike team with and you're like part of a AMCAP like rights enforcement agency, and you're part of a strike team going to neutralize an enemy, and you know your team really well, and you trust them. I think that in that case, I would want to us to all agree upon there if there's a grenade that will come, and if there's a grenade that like gets thrown at us, the closest person should just fall on it and save the others. And if I can trust them to do the same, I think that everyone should do the same. If it's like the case there, you sacrifice yourself to save the others, because so even though if you were the one who like even if you're the one who's closer to it, in that case you would be the one who sacrifices yourself to save all the others. But it's way more likely, because let's say that there's 5 people on a strike team, for example. It's only 20% chance that it's going to be you who's making a sacrifice, and over 80% of the time you're the one being saved. So it is self in the sense that it's by agreeing to this, you vastly increase your chances at staying alive, at being the one saved from a grenade, than being the one who actually dies for the grenade.
Yeah, and this might be a good policy in that the closest person is least likely to be able to get away in time anyway, right? So they're most likely to get maimed and killed by this thing regardless, so they might as well follow through and preserve the other people's lives.
Yeah, but okay, so I was thinking of like abstracting this to a larger high trust society where living. Like, I think that if we live in a society where everyone would choose to sacrifice themselves to save many, like that would be good for everyone in the society, because it's again, it's way more likely for you to be the one being saved by someone else's sacrifice than being the one to die because you agree to the sacrifice.
I think what is worth going into is whether these things are actually objectively sacrifices. Because a sacrifice, at least for the objectivists, it means giving up something of higher value for something of lower value. And now, so it might be the case that there's a time where you are dying, but you're not giving something of higher value for something of lower value. And someone in chat pointed out that Ayn Rand said she would take a bullet for her husband, with the implication being that if she were to live without him, it would be so terrible she would rather not be alive at all. And that does come up in some of the fiction as well, namely Atlas Shrugged. I won't give any spoilers as to the context of that, though. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with her view on suicide, but she's very clear, like, okay, well, this isn't actually a sacrifice. So the question is whether it is a sacrifice or isn't a sacrifice. And now it's not clear that jumping on the grenade is necessarily sacrifice. In those cases where it is a sacrifice, where you could have run away, and you know, people might get maimed, but they'll still be alive, then yeah, you shouldn't do it. You should tell people run the hell away from grenades.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get at, is that something might seem like a sacrifice in the more colloquial sense, but it's not. You're not. I don't. As I said earlier, I don't support like giving up a higher value for a lower one. But I think that's like in the high trust society case, if you know and trust like the other people in the society, agreeing to this means like that's when you like you're not sacrifice. So I don't agree with sacrificing yourself for random people. That's why I say that I'm a red buttoner in the exact replica of the original question, because I don't care about like saving random people out there or like risking my life for them or like potentially dying because of them. But like I think this is what the blue buttons are getting at when they say high trust society, is that when you can like communicate and agree beforehand of like implementing like a rule of, okay, well, we all agree to press the blue button. I think that's in a case where you know everyone and you know that they are rational people and that they are good people. That's when you should all agree for the blue button, because
I'm not sure I agree with that, because if they're rational and good people, like if we're in like a Galt's Gulch or something, then they would all be able to come to the conclusion, no, just click the red button, let's not join this suicide pact by this madman who's come into town and started this suicide pact. Because you can quite readily, like, that you could start this exact button scenario right now. I could say, hey, next week on Friday, I will commit suicide unless, we've got 84 people watching right now, unless more than 40 people also agree to the suicide pact. It's like, okay, well, that seems insane. Like, I don't think anybody would join that. And of course, the blue buttons, their point is, well, the framing changes it. And I think if you can have this high trust society where you're able to collude beforehand, well, that does already change the framing, right? And it changes it massively towards red, in my view, because you can just simply say, like, look, guys, none of us have to die. Just don't press the suicide button.
What if, as people like mentioned, it isn't too clear on the problem, but what if like children are involved, or like really, really young baby, like 1 or 2 year olds who don't understand, and it's just picking buttons randomly? in the blue button case, you can coordinate to everyone agree to press the blue button, and then no one has to die, and then you save the children too. And in the red scenario, it's okay. You can get most people to save themselves, but the children, you can't actually reason with them to like convince them of like pressing any button because they're not old enough. That what it means to be a legal child is that they don't they can't express their will, right? They can't. They don't understand what pressing each button means.
Yeah, so maybe if you have like a tight knit enough community, you could all coordinate. On like you know, I think there was one scenario somebody brought up in the Twitter space where it was like there's a fire coming and it's going to burn like everybody down, and you can get out of town, or you can like if enough people start fighting this fire, then they can stop it. If it's a tight knit enough community, then perhaps then say like, hey guys, let's go fight this fire, for the children which aren't able to run out of town because they don't understand what fire is yet, and they're gonna just go like, ooh, goo goo gaga, that's hot, and start crawling towards it and then get immolated.
Yeah, I think that expresses like my viewpoint on it, which I probably failed to like properly express myself. But so, do you agree that in cases where it's a tightly knit enough community, that's when it'll be valid to like convince everyone to go for the blue button if you can actually coordinate and you trust people in the community?
Yeah, and it requires coordination is the thing. Without any coordination, you can't change the outcome. But with coordination, you absolutely can.
What if instead of okay, so the idea I'm thinking of right now is that instead of actually being able to coordinate or for an exact problem beforehand, what if you can like before the question ever arises and before you ever think that such a problem exists, so you don't know what the specific problem is, should you try to like go for a general so let's say that in the fire example, right, that everyone you can either flee town or try to like help put out the fire. Before this fire actually happens, we don't know that there's going to be this specific situation where, oh, this fire requires this many people to put out, and this like when if everyone runs away, then like this percentage of children might just go towards the fire. Like before we have this exact situation, how should we prepare for it in terms of how we approach these sorts of situations ethically? So it's like when if this situation ever appears in real life, it would be like we won't actually get to coordinate, right? If there's just a fire, you need to either run, get the hell out of there, or you need to put it out. So let's just say that right now, we don't know what might come up in the future. What should we generally propose as a general rule on how to deal with these situations?
So the general rule, of course, will be dependent on the context of what the specifics of the situation are. I would say, in general, you should be a red buttoner. You should try to, preserve life above all else. Your life is more important than other people's lives. Leave it to the firefighters, basically. Now that could change drastically. If I can't give you like a one sentence summary of what you should do, because I'd be trying to give a one sentence summary of the entire objectivist ethics. Like that's what the whole field of ethics is studying.
Yeah,
how to conduct yourself, in any sort of situation.
Okay, so I think a question I want to ask is, let's say that you can have a covenant community. You can build a covenant community somewhere. Do you think it's necessarily a bad idea for the covenant community to have a rule of, say, if you join us, then you agree to basically not fleeing in the cases of fire or similar circumstances and helping to put it out, basically not picking what's immediately beneficial to you, but what's might not be immediately beneficial to you, but good for the whole town. Do you think that would be valid as a covenant?
Or like, a civil defense thing, like you've got to sign up to this militia. So the way you'd have to do that is you can't enslave people, of course. So So you'd have to just have like a penalty clause, like if you are a deserter in the face of this danger, then you agree to like forfeit some property, whatever it is.
I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be like a part of a covenant community contract, right? So I brought up covenant community to like signify that this is a community that like voluntarily associates and trusts each other. And like, do you think that it will be valid to just not even have a contract, but just like a mutual agreement that this is how we will approach these circumstances? Do you think it's a good idea to have these sort of agreements, or if it will be a bad agreement and that we should just agree to, okay, everyone for themselves in these scenarios?
Well, so I think the better structure to deal with these things is insurance. If you have, like that's the structure which we use to deal with risk on the market, or in like our daily lives. It's so I don't think it should be everyone band together immediately and try and solve it. It's like, no, pay an insurance provider for your property, insure it to whatever degree you want, and then you have spontaneous coordination. You don't have to go through any of this like mutual agreement. Okay, what happens if there's a fire? What happens if this? What happens if that? You can just get insurance. You can get your fire insurance. You can get your aggression insurance. You can get insured against all these threats, and then let the market deal with it.
Ah, right. Yeah, I understand that now. When you like stretch it too far away from the original hypothetical, then other factors start coming into play too. Okay, so I guess I only have one last question, like on regarding this button thing, which is that on the podcast, I think someone asked a question of like, what if you were the last swing vote, and you know that you're the last person to vote, and you're the swing vote, and you said that you press blue in that circumstance. And then he asked the next question, which is that, what if you are the second to last, and red is currently leading by 1? And you change your answer to red. And I think the reason you gave was that you can't let someone else live for you. So in this case, red is basically definitely half of humanity dies, but blue basically makes someone else, knowing the swing vote, like the previous question, who's likely to press blue but not guaranteed. So I'm wondering if you still stand by that decision, and if so, why? Can you explain better why you would change to red, and what you meant by you can't let someone else live for you?
Yes, so basically what I'm saying there is that your life is on the line. It's your decision. What do you want to do? You can't rely on some random unknown person to be living your life on your behalf and making your decisions on your behalf and basically puppeteering you, and just relying that they're going to make some decision which will benefit you. It's like in Go, there's a certain tendency some people have, newer players. I've been guilty of this certainly, where they will play relying on their opponent making a mistake. And people do this in chess as well. You should never play in a way that relies on your opponent making a mistake for you to take advantage of it. In the same way here, you should never vote relying on somebody else voting a certain way. That's not how you should do it. It's your life, live it yourself.
I'm not too sure what you mean when you say like rely on others acting a certain way or voting a certain way, because isn't that what you always have to do in life? Let's say that you make a contract to like trade something with someone. You are relying on them going through with the trade and not screwing you over, right?
Yeah, and that's why we have entire structures, or at least ideally we would have entire structures built up to shoot them in the head if they get too far off the line. Now, yeah, in some degree, in order for you to live a flourishing life, it is necessary for other people to act in certain ways. Pardon me. But that doesn't mean that you should be throwing your life at the feet of any random person and hoping that they don't kill you. You should be living your life on your own, and if shit out of your control happens and everybody turns crazy and tries to kill you, well, then you're just kind of fucked.
I'm trying to figure out the principal difference between like just regularly relying on others in everyday life and throwing yourself at someone's feet and hoping that they don't kill you.
So in everyday life, I'm not the way in which I'm relying on other people is relying that they'll keep doing what is in their psychology to do, and that, you know, there hasn't been some sort of virus which warps everyone's mind to make them crazy or something, because that's what would have to happen, right? I am acting on reliable information that people tend to act in predictable ways, and they're not going to go crazy. Whereas in the button scenario, I have no means of predicting what this person is going to do. You know, if I expose my neck and give a homeless man a knife, I have no reliable predictions on what that guy's going to do. That's why homeless, crazy people are scary. That's why people are afraid of crazy people, because you have no way of reliably predicting what sorts of behaviors they're going to engage in. Whereas for a normal person, you can reliably predict that they're not going to randomly start killing you, right?
I'd say that in this scenario, you can accurately predict what the next person is going to do, because if you picked blue, then it becomes a 50-50, red and blue. And basically the last person would be the swing vote. So, which means that they have no risk to themselves if they pick either red or blue. Because if they pick blue, they would live because blue gets just one extra vote, so blue becomes majority. And if they pick red, they live anyways. So they have the choice between either themselves living and 50% of all humanity dying and causing an apocalypse, which would be bad for them, or picking blue and they know that they live for sure, and they also know that the rest of humanity lives for sure. So you're basically relying on the last person not being a psychopath, which is
not psychopath. You're relying on them being a logical person, like a perfect logician, in effect. Whereas I'm not going to rely on somebody to be a logician. I'm going to assume they're the median voter, in which case I have no idea what the hell they're going to click. They're just going to be effectively clicking at random, from my perspective.
Okay. So is it just a probability issue? Okay, what about if we change it from a person being the last person to vote into a probability machine that spits out a random number? Would that turn it into a continuum problem, or would you still maintain red no matter what the probability is?
Well, it would be a continuum problem in that a probability of 1, namely everybody survives, is principally different to a probability of 0, namely everyone dies.
What if it's somewhere between 0 and 1, non-inclusive?
Yeah. Well, then you just cut out the two ends of the continuum. Like, you haven't changed it.
Sure. So let's say 99% of cases, the last vote will be red. Sorry, it will be blue, and then in 1% of cases it'll be red. So you picking red means guaranteed half of all humanity dies. You picking blue means 99% of the chance everyone's good and nothing happens, but 1% of the chance you die.
Yeah, so then I'd probably pick blue at 99%.
But okay, obviously, if the blue's 1%, then you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a continuum problem.
Yeah, and you know, there is some very, very small likelihood right now that a errant gamma ray burst instantly evaporates all life on Earth. So, you know, it's not necessarily so far-fetched that there could be like a infinitesimally small chance that everybody dies.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up if you disagreed that it was a continuum. But so if it is a continuum, is there a principle to like determine which, how you should vote in which circumstances?
So I think the principle is, I think it does just go back to objectivist ethics. It's what actually, I'm just checking my stream health here. It's saying stream is healthy on YouTube, but on Restream it's saying not. Oh well. So yeah, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Basically, how what do we use to determine when we should flip our answers? So like in which percentages we should pick red and in which percentages we should pick blue?
Yeah, so I think the principle is just objectivist ethics. So it's you got to think through, you know, in the context of your life. Like I can't give you like some particular percentage at which that's the correct percentage in which to flip from blue to red and vice versa. It's going to be somewhere in there, and you've got to evaluate the context of your life.
Right. Okay, I think that's everything I had to ask. Yeah, I think that was a really productive conversation, and you definitely convinced me of a few things.
Oh, yeah, well, thank you for having it. Let me just let's go through the super chats and then we can do the watch together. Unfortunately, it will have to be fucking stinky Discord watch together, but oh well.
I have no idea how that works, so you have to tell me when we get to it.
Yeah. So we got Ariel David 95 for $5 US. Thank you very much. If you press red and nothing happens, did another X user not pose another hypothetical scenario about a green button where the red pressers also die? Yeah, there was a few of those, and interestingly, a lot of the blue people were suddenly no longer concerned about people randomly clicking buttons, and they're like, yeah, kill the red people, kill them. Like, so I don't think it's necessarily motivated by just not wanting anybody to die. I think they have an ideological hatred of red button pressers because they're altruists.
Yeah, most people are evil.
Yeah.
This is why, like, for my blue button defense, I often try to like, narrow it down to like me saying, okay, in the real world scenario, with everyone involved, I would press red.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we can narrow it down to like a specific community of people you trust, I think that's when the blue argument is valid.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of altruism, Diego Amateur for 2,500 CLP, thank you very much, says props to Mentis Wave for calling out this as altruism, rather than doing the suicidal empathy shit. Yeah, you get that a lot on the right, where they are altruists themselves, but they'll see the effects of altruism and they can't call it altruism, so they have to call it suicidal empathy. It's like, okay, buddy, that's just one instance of altruism. Like, you're almost there. We got a Griff One None for $5 US. Thank you very much. I believe the blue buttoners are just trying to jump through logical hoops to justify themselves after being exposed as stupid. Well, there you have it, folks. And he gives another $2. Thank you very much. Nice haircut, Zulu. Thank you. But yeah, no, like, it is hard to model a lot of these prominent blue activists. It's like they don't quite understand the question being asked. I don't get it. I think it is just due to fundamentally incompatible premises being operated upon here. Yeah, so let's... Oops, daisies. Muted. For a second. Okay, so I'm going to have to pop out this Discord activity, so don't join it till I say.
Mm-hmm.
That's Nitro Score reward, and not going to do that. Out. Okay. You should be able to join now.
Okay, let's see if this works.
And you'll hear...
Yeah, I think I see it.
Oh.
It's like a really... Okay, I can expand video. Okay, there we go.
Yes. Alright. Well, let's go. Yeah, this is just a random video I like picked out earlier. I was just looking through my Discord for like, is there anything like short enough, like, you know, I can just bang it out real quick. And this one was there. I took a quick gander at it. It seems, yeah, this will be fine enough. It's obviously by
check it out.
the Lucid Politics channel. Only 42 subscribers, so I'm punching down here. Boom, I'm punching down. Unfortunately, I'm sure he'll be fine with it.
Turn on the news and you'll hear one word yelled constantly.
These are the same dumb Marxist ideas.
It's a bit quiet for me.
Yeah, let me...
Is far left, radical, Marxist.
Marxist.
You know, Marxist, Leninists, they get a...
Also, obviously, I have to review this video, constant review. This is for review purposes. I think the editing's decent for a channel of this size. It's the audio is good, which is always refreshing. Because a lot of small channels, it's barely watchable. But this guy seems to be doing a good job. So that's my review of the video so far. I got to review this video.
Do you know how I can like change your volume? Because when I listen to his videos, the volume's really low compared to your volume, and I try turning the volume up, but it just turns your volume really, really high.
Oh, so if you go into the actual, so if you right click on my profile picture, you should be able to change my volume. But if you go into the actual watch together activity, there in like the video player, there's a volume slider to the top right.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's really low. Okay, thanks.
And the Marxist left and other lunatics preaching radical ideology.
It's blamed for everything from cultural collapse to economic decline. But here's the problem. No one ever actually explains what it is. I'm Dr. Alexander Matnansky. I'm a political scientist who studies all of the issues that everybody argues about online and tries to make sense of them. So today, let's tackle the ism that everybody seems to argue about online, but nobody ever seems to have an answer for. What is Marxism?
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
For this discussion, the natural starting point is, who is Karl Marx? Karl Marx was a Prussian philosopher and political theorist who specialized in capitalism. He was particularly interested in how class was shaped by history, politics, and society.
Yeah, so I suppose I'm reviewing this video. I gotta add my interjections here. Yeah, so
Not really much to review so far.
that's the thing. But I don't want to get sued. Yeah, no. So like, it is important to understand he's right there, that it's about history. Marxism is primarily a theory about history. That is their metaphysics. Their metaphysics is a theory of history. Namely, the theory of dialectical materialism. Now, what is dialectical materialism? Presumably he's going to go into it here, but I don't think he's going to be honest about it. Rarely are Marxists honest about this. Pardon me. So dialectical materialism, what is dialectics? The dialectic process, that's from Hegel. Goodness me. So it is the thesis, the antithesis, that they come together, they contradict each other, and they produce the synthesis, which allegedly it makes sense. It's a theory of contradiction, right at its core. Hegel was, of course, an idealist, materialist, namely, everything is mind, whereas Marx is saying everything is matter, dialectical materialism. So on Hegel, it's all these ideas, existence and non-existence. They synthesize, I can't remember what they synthesize into, motion, it was there, now it's not there. It's something like that, it's some nonsense like that. That's how he solves like the Heraclitean problem. So on Marx, obviously, you don't have his ideas. So what is it? It is the class struggle. It is the proletariat are in contradiction with the bourgeoisie. The serfs are in contradiction to the nobility. And they have to combine in some sort of way. And then it produces the synthesis, which is the new ideology. And, you know, on the basic terms, this should go on forever. But of course, it's an ideology which endorses contradiction. So they say, no, if you just understood the proletarian logic, different logic, polylogism, right? The proletarians have different logic to Aristotle, to the bourgeois logic, that is what they call it. If you just had the proletarian logic, you would understand how, yes, all of our arguments are pointing to this is a process that should continue on ad infinitum, and so the proletariat stage isn't the end stage. But if you had the proletarian logic, you understand how it's fine to have communism be the end stage and this thing is supposed to continue forever. You'd understand it if you're a proletarian. This is the caliber of theory of history we're dealing with.
I mean, all of this just sounds completely crazy. Like, do you think most people who are Marxists are people who don't actually understand the theory behind it and just call themselves a Marxist? Or do you think that they know and they're just like evil people who know what they're doing and they're trying to like just bring about and like lie about it?
Yeah. So I think the professional Marxists, they know what they're doing. They know that part of the program is to lie about what they're really saying, because if you say it straight up and honestly, nobody fucking believes it. You're like, that's a crazy nonsense thing. Who the hell would believe that? That's why part of the program for the Marxists is to lie. I think a lot of the, I suppose, man on the street type Marxists, a lot of them probably don't really understand the philosophy at all as well. This is what happened in my debate with Haz al-Din. Is when you try to get them to just straight up tell you, ask like a little child would, just question after question after question. Just try and get them to be straight up with what they're saying, and they just cannot do it. They tie themselves in knots to try and avoid the literal what is being said in their ideology. This is why resources like Leonard Peikoff's lectures on Marxism in his History of Philosophy series are very valuable, because it just directly explaining what these people actually believe, it disillusions anybody as to, like, it makes you think, how the hell could anybody believe in such a thing?
Yeah, like in the Haz-al-Din debate, I was really surprised how he actually became honest in some points of like actually endorsing, okay, yes, history is deterministic, and then he just contradicts himself later and said, oh, no, you can have a wiggle room.
Yeah. According to Ariel David 95, Aufbauen or sublation was perhaps what thesis and antithesis synthesized into. It's some German word that he uses. Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
I know we've all heard Marx was this mysterious revolutionary who was going to take up arms to overthrow the Western order, but in reality,
No, I don't think Marx was going to do particularly much of anything. I think he's going to be like bed rotting. He seems like one of the first bed rotters of the modern era.
he was simply a political scientist, no different than myself. He was essentially just a guy up the road in Highbury and Islington here in London. Getting his start in the mid-1800s, he finished his PhD from the University of Vienna, which is in what is now modern-day Germany. And one of my favorite stories, a little bit of folklore, while not proven necessarily to be true, after finishing his PhD defense, him and his PhD supervisor stole a donkey and paraded their way around town, wreaking havoc in celebration. While not necessarily true or historically accurate,
I've got to review this video, of course. I disagree with that. I think it was a horse. I disagree with that. I've got to review the video, of course.
Textualizes how Marx is seen in kind of everyday folklore. He's a real person that behaved like everybody else, that wanted to go and celebrate good times. He wasn't a radical revolutionary in this way. He was.
I mean, like
Say what now?
it's a very like rosy picture of Karl Marx's life. I mean, if you want a better picture of his life, I suggest you watch that Tick History video on what Karl Marx was really like in his personal life. He was a complete degenerate, and yeah, no, he was a revolutionary. Well, I suppose he's not necessarily a revolutionary, because there wasn't the revolution at that time. It only came a little bit later. But if he could have been, he absolutely would have been. He absolutely would have done the things that were later done by his followers. This guy's not like just a friendly old political scientist. He's just doing science, guys. This is what you hear this term a lot from Marxists. That we're doing this is a scientific theory. We're scientific. Why do they emphasize this so heavily? It's because Karl Marx, of course, was not the first socialist. There were socialists before Karl Marx. Namely, he was trying to shed himself of the reputation of the utopian socialists, where their like genuine ideas were that if you implement socialism and you're hungry, well, a cooked chicken would just immediately fly into your mouth. Like, that is the sort of thinking of the utopian socialists. He was trying to get away from that. He was being like, no, I'm just a scientist. And in fact, if you meet a smart enough Marxist, they'll say they're not even making ethical prescriptions. They're just stating a scientific theory, pardon me, about how history progresses. Because they desperately do not want to be conflated with the utopian socialists. But it's, of course, nonsense. Their scientific theory, as it's called, is based in contradiction. They fundamentally, on a fundamental level, they accept that contradictions are a real thing. This is my question to Haz al-Din when he had that debate with Prax Ben in New York. I asked him, okay, so communism is based in a theory of contradiction. You're saying there's all these contradictions between the capitalists and the blah, 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 blah. So does the American Communist Party endorse that contradictions can be true? And he just kind of waffled, of course, because I can only get one question. I can't, like, press him at all. So I just asked him that question and then, like, fucked off to get another beer. But yeah, this is the caliber of their science. So don't believe this rosy picture he's painting here.
He was simply a guy celebrating earning a degree. Originally, Marx considered a career in academia, but there was a large conservative turn in Germany at the time, and then he decided to pivot towards journalism. This kind of reflects something that's happening in the world right now, where...
Of course, I am reviewing this video. I didn't like that cut with, like, the random, like, half opacity, like, paper peeling off. I didn't like that cut. I'm reviewing the video. I've got to review this video. That's what I'm doing. I'm reviewing the video.
Only how often do you need to, like, cut in to review a video?
Probably not even, like, 10% as often as I'm doing right now. But I just think it's funny.
Places like the United States, parts of Europe, such as Hungary, right-wing governments have begun to attempt to facilitate a right-wing turn in academia, which has pushed out a lot of early career academics. It was in Paris where Marx would go on to meet Friedrich Engels, a lifelong collaborator. Engels came from a wealthy industrial family and would support Marx financially for much of his life.
Which is, here's a question. If this guy was an industrialist, and as we all know, because we're all good Marxists here, as we all know, that would make him bourgeois, so he would have different logic to the presumably proletarian Karl Marx. So how the hell did he ever support anything that Karl Marx did if he has different logic such that he could never even understand what Karl's putting down? How does that work? I genuinely don't know.
It's obvious, of course. Contradictions are true. So he has bourgeois logic, and he also has proletarian logic.
It's you know what? You got me there. I have no response.
Life. Engels' own experience would help to contribute some insights that would ultimately develop into what is now Marxism. Together, they would write the texts that would now define Marxism as a field of study in academia and would influence some revolutionaries later on. The most prominent of which is the Communist Manifesto, which we're going to demystify a little bit in this video. Before discussing Marxism further, we need to first identify the two key forms of Marxism. Marxism as a part of academic literature, a theoretical critique of class structures in society, and all.
You notice that word he used there, critique. You'll often see the critique written with a big old capital C, right? Critique of this, critique of that. Guess which Ayn Rand's most beloved philosopher, that's where it comes from, none other than Immanuel Kant. So I don't want to hear these fucking Kantians in my mentions telling me that, no, Immanuel Kant didn't inspire the great horrors of the 20th century. It is a critique of the class structures. Right, where do you think he got that from? Critique of pure reason, perhaps. There are the critical philosophers. Critical race theory. Where do you think critical comes from in critical race theory? It comes from Immanuel Kant. That's big capital C, critical. Critique. That's where it comes from. But whenever you hear critique in philosophy, think Immanuel Kant, or some descendant of Immanuel Kant.
Also, Marxism in practice, something that we see in the world. The scholarlyism, as it is something that just identifies how capitalism and class structures influence large inequality throughout the world. Academics use this toolbook to ask who benefits. Why is society structured a certain way? So at its core, Marxist theory is...
He keeps saying that this is a science, and like, oh, we're just doing science here. We're not like prescribing things. And then he uses a bunch of really, they always use a bunch of really like morally loaded language, like, oh, inequality, and then like this is, you know, what do they say again? Like profit is theft and stuff like that.
Exploitation.
Which are like, yeah, exploitation, inherently like morally charged language.
Yeah. Like this is a point that I got from Prax Ben on a TikTok live stream, which I was on the panel with him, where he's like, okay, well, what people need to understand about Marxists, when they say exploitation, if they're a good, proper Marxist, there is no moral component to that. So you can just say, so what? All exploitation really means is that surplus value is being taken from the worker. So you can just say, so what? So what that surplus value is being taken from the worker? Who cares? Right? Why does that matter? Is that a bad thing?
Right.
And like they have
And it's like
nowhere to go.
Equality, right? Yeah, there's inequality in the world. Like, so what? Some people have more than others. Is this a bad thing? How do you prove it?
Exactly. That's so their idea that they're scientific, it really is a double-edged sword for them, because it means that they can't be making these ethical prescriptions. Of course, they don't know how the fuck to deal with ethics at all. So they just kind of use this morally charged language to try and implicitly sway people. It's really quite nefarious. But I did just get a super chat from Griff1 Nunn for $5 US. Thank you very much. And we're just analytical scientists, guys. But then we'll make ethical prescriptions. No coherent explanation needed. Exactly what we're talking about. It's insanity. So never let a Marxist just get away with saying it's exploitation. They're like, okay, well, what does exploitation mean? It means taking surplus value from the workers, right? And why is that a problem? What if I want surplus value taken from me? Because I'm risk averse. So I want the surplus value taken from me so I can get paid now, and I don't have to get paid later, right? And I don't have to take on any of the risk. What then? Right? And they don't have any coherent response to any of this.
Yeah, I remember when I was like just a classical liberal, and I didn't really understand ethics that much, and I couldn't respond to a lot of these arguments because I was trying to like contest them on like the facts of, okay, well, is this exploitation or not, without even a coherent definition of what exploitation is. But like when I've learned anarcho-capitalism, it's like the ethical argument is just so strong, like they can't get past it. Just use the ethical argument to cut down everything. Okay, just you can actually just grant most of their premises, but like cuts them off when it comes to the ethics of, okay, therefore we should enslave people and force or like steal from people and stuff like that.
And like, because the thing is, they constantly want to have ethical prescriptions. They really want that, because that's really the driving force behind what is converting pretty much everybody who was converted to Marxism was converted on ethical grounds. But at the same time, they have no basis in their philosophy for any sort of ethics. They are determinists. This is why it's so important that I went down that road with Haz al-Din. They are determinists, right? They have no way of having ethics. You can't have ethics on determinism. You're just predetermined to do whatever the hell you'll do. You can't say good or bad. You can't say you should make this choice rather than this choice. They're determined. You're just going to do what you're going to do. So what is the thrust of anything they're saying? And you'll run into this with Marxists. They'll say, well, communism is inevitable. Like, well, gee willikers, if it's so inevitable, why the hell do you bother with all this proselytizing? Just go sit at home and play some video games. Why do you care so much? If you're inevitably going to win, like, great, sit back and enjoy yourself. And like, they kind of just cower away from that type of thing.
Yeah, and like with the Haz al-Din debate, I'm actually surprised he didn't. At least I didn't notice it, that he didn't try to like worm away from the determinism point, even though you were like completely destroying him there. He just stayed there and didn't try to like move on at all. Do you think like he knows that if he grants you if he grants you free will, then like the rest of Austrian economics just follows from that? Or do you think he just didn't really know how to debate and just got bogged down on there?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know, obviously for sure, but it is entirely possible that he was able to like pick up that, no, I'm building some larger argument here. Like, I mean, that was my whole plan. I didn't even expect the determinism thing to be like the whole debate or anything. I've said this before. I was just building Agi when I was doing that. I was building Agi, trying to, and then I could refer back to that at later points in the debate. But then this is clearly a sticking point for him. So I think he must have on some level known that if he grants me that, yes, Marxism is deterministic, that then he's not going to get all the good things that he wants to get by having it both ways, right? He wants to be able to be scientific, and the scientific thing to do is to say, yeah, determinism is correct, but he also wants to have like his ethical prescriptions and so on. So he wants to have free will still. And that's why contradictions are so useful to these people. They just gotta live in both camps at once.
Yeah, like when you bring it all to light, like they can't get away with having their cake and eating it too. When you force them into one position, they just break down.
Exactly.
Is a way to understand how capitalism creates inequalities around the world. It focused on the relationship between two key groups, something Marx and Engels called the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The bourgeoisie is those who own the means of production, and the proletariat is those who sell their labor to make a living. While this is a story about greed, that isn't the entire picture. Marx argued that capital...
Yeah, the more I see that cut, the less I'm liking it. I mean, if you're watching this, Mr. Lucid Politics, I mean, I shouldn't give him too much editing advice because then his videos get better. Just do away with the paper tearaway. You can just do a cut there. It's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I'm reviewing the video, guys. I don't like that paper tearaway effect that he puts over there.
Capitalism itself, the structures of society, are what created the perpetual inequalities that we see. Those who own the means of production are in a position to continue to reproduce these balances and continue to perpetuate their own power on those that don't have the resources. So while workers generate
again with the moral speak, okay, inequality. So what? Oh, they gain power for themselves. Like, what's wrong with them having power for themselves, right?
Exactly, and if this is so bad, imagine, if you will, an organization with more power than any other, an organization that is able to dictate the entire economy. And that's what Marx is advocating for. And then you won't have people just trying to get power for themselves, I guess. Like, this is a ludicrous position. Like, clearly, he's just trying to build whatever justification he can to get a dictatorship here. Like, it's nonsense.
Yeah, this is like Hopper had a paper on like the similarities between Austrian class analysis and Marxist class analysis, and it's like they're really, really close at some of the time, and then they just don't make that final jump. And they, in the words of Mentersave, basically the problem is government and the solution is more government. It's basically what they do. Like they sort of recognize that something is wrong. That like, okay, this incredibly powerful people on the top that are doing really a lot of bad things. And they just say, okay, well, it's clearly the capitalists. I mean, you should get even more powerful people in, called the state, to like regulate these capitalists.
It's a child's philosophy, it really is. Like, how people fall for this, I don't understand. I have a theory of mind for people who fall for this shit. They just never thought for themselves. In fact, in Maps of Meaning, Jordan Peterson discusses when he was a communist in like college or whatever, where he's like, he never had ideas of his own. He was just borrowing other people's ideas and thought that made it his idea. Like, he's describing himself like as an NPC. Like, that's got to just be how they operate.
They don't ever reap the benefits of this through power. While Marx was writing about this in the mid-1800s, we continue to see how workforces are exploited. This wasn't just a product of the 1800s, we're seeing this now. Amazon workers...
And you can see again, exploited. What does that mean? Surplus value is taken. Now he's going to go into the Amazon workers and how terrible these conditions are. He's going to try and move from this claim of exploitation, this scientific claim, into some moral prescription. Whoopsie daisies, Mr. Lucid Politics. Did you not read any David Hume? Did you not know that you can't do that? David Hume says you can't do that. Do you have a response to David Hume at all? Are you going to provide that response to David Hume? Because if you don't, that's an invalid jump. You've got to answer Hume here. You've got to answer Hume.
Yeah, they just sneak it through the sally port all the time.
Mm-hmm. Every time it's just total snuck premises. The entire Marxist ethics is just a large set of snuck premises.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the modern Marxist adjacent movements, like environmentalism. They say, oh, the environment's like these things are really bad for the environment. And it's like, so what? We're destroying the environment. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. And they have no argument against that. They just go, oh, you're a monster. Okay, how am I a monster for wanting to destroy the environment? No argument, just sneaking the premise that environmental destruction is bad, and that's just all they do.
It's argument from intimidation. Ayn Rand writes. That's what Ayn Rand calls it. Let me just read this just real quick. Yeah, I'll just read the whole thing. There's a certain type of argument which, in fact, is not an argument, but a means of forestalling debate and extorting an opponent's agreement with one's undiscussed notions. It is a method of bypassing logic by means of psychological pressure. It consists of threatening to impeach an opponent's character by means of his argument, and thus impeaching the argument without debate. Example, only the immoral can fail to see that candidate X's argument is false. The falsehood of his argument is asserted arbitrarily and offered as proof of his immorality. It's not immortality. In today's epistemological jungle, that second method is used more frequently than any other type of irrational argument. It should be classified as a logical fallacy and may be designated the argument from intimidation. The essential characteristic of the argument from intimidation is its appeal to moral self-doubt and its reliance on fear, guilt, or ignorance of the victim. It is used in the form of an ultimatum demanding that the victim renounce a given idea without discussion under threat of being considered morally unworthy. The pattern is always, those who are evil, dishonest, heartless, insensitive, ignorant, etc. can hold as such an idea. Yeah, you see this all over the place. I would definitely recommend just reading over this article, The Argument from Intimidation and the Virtue of Selfishness. You really see this all the time. It's just kind of like there's like gotta look at this guy type arguments. How much stream did I miss? Chronic asks. See. About an hour and a half's worth. I would offer for you to jump in, but I don't want to lose. I mean, if you want to jump in, I suppose we could always just scrub to the correct place. Yeah, do you want to jump in, Chronic? I'll go to the toilet and see if he wants to jump in after I'm back.
Okay, I'll do the same. See you in a bit.
Yep. You do. Oh, Chronic says you'll join. Would it be possible to add me to the call without disconnecting it? Well, let's find out. Um, more option. Invite to activity. And nothing shows up.
Hey, yeah, I'm back. Is
Hello.
Connor joining us?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to add him.
Awesome.
We're at 4 minutes 12 if it doesn't work. I could create a new group DM, seems like it would just disconnect. Fuck it. Yep, it disconnected. Well.
Here we go.
Hello.
Okay.
Please do not join the activity immediately. Gotta pop it out.
Yeah, we're gonna let you be the boss.
I gotta be the boss.
You know, I just woke up, so I should sound very gravelly, but I wanted to say I saw the title of the video, reacting to the button question, discussing the button question.
The news,
I remember
you'll
the
hear
thing I
one
posted
word
on,
yelled
on
constantly.
X.com.
These are the same.
Sorry, hold on. I'm getting like the video. I can't pause the video.
Marxist.
Can't pause the video.
Marxist-Leninists, they get along.
Why is it?
Can you pause the
Marxists
video?
left and other lunatics preaching radical ideology.
No, no one
Gotta
can pause
leave
the video. Maybe
that.
I can pause the video. Let's see.
Okay, I said don't join the fucking activity.
Why didn't you join it first?
Yeah, but I had to pop it out, so you gotta wait for a little bit.
Okay, alright, I'm leaving the activity.
Leave the fucking activity. Everybody leave the activity.
Have we ever considered just streaming someone's browser window with YouTube in it?
I think we've done that before as well. Like, the thing is, I got Jellyfin, which would
Can you
work
guys see me now?
perfect. Yeah. Leave the activity. Leave the activity.
How to do
Not
that?
the call, just oh my god, Acorn's technology. There should be a button that says leave activity, which shouldn't kick you out of the call.
Got it.
There you go. Alright, now Zulu can start the activity.
Then I'm gonna pop it out, so
be the
wait
boss.
for a fucking
Wait,
moment.
just wait. Don't press the button yet.
I gotta reload the activity to pop it out. This is... Jellyfin would work perfectly. I've tested it before. It works fucking
Oh my
perfectly.
God.
Then it fucking...
Technology, bro.
It wasn't working earlier today. Yeah, no, you guys can join now. So yeah, sorry, what were you saying about the button question there, Chronic?
The thing I posted on X.com, it was I didn't vote red to save my own life. I voted red because I wanted to see the blue voters die. It was like, no, it's not just for me. It's because I want you to die. It's something I can't get if everyone votes blue. Is that I want the blue voters to die.
Yes, I suppose whilst you guys are populating the activity, I do have 2 more super chats from Griff1 None. One for $10, one for $2. Thank you very much. Capitalism wants infinite growth. In biology, we call that cancer. Not only dumb, because the alternative is stagnation and poverty, but also many of them will show China's endless flat GDP growth. Yeah, it's... infinite growth, that just means boundless growth, i.e. growth that is not being hampered. So yes, we want infinite growth. Call that cancer. What is it a cancer against? It's a cancer against nature. We hate nature. So if you have a properly integrated ideology, it doesn't matter.
It's stupider than that, right? Because like regular life forms, we're switching out our cells regularly, where we generate new cells, we grow new cells, and then we discard dead ones, and we keep doing that regularly, and we're sort of in an equilibrium with the environment. But supposing that like we had a problem where we solved like the way we die of age, we don't have DNA degradation, we would be growing infinitely, right? We would just be growing to the limit of the environment there, and we would reach an equilibrium. A cancer cell is a cell that is not utilizing the resources in your body appropriately because it is refusing to die. It's like a firm, right? It's a firm that is like a zombie firm that is just kind of it's taxing the rest of your body to continue living, right?
I wonder what we call that firm.
Bro.
Yep.
Right. Whereas like a market economy, a free market economy, is living in equilibrium with its means. Right. It's actually taking the resources that are available to it, and it's building appropriately. You know, cancer. Communism is cancer. Okay, that's the real facts today.
Yep.
And then for the second one, he's clarifying the quote was not in the video. He just heard it recently. Yeah, thank you for the
It's like, I
donations.
saw it on like philosophy tweets or whatever, which is like the worst philosophy account you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like normie philosophy is like the worst goddamn thing in the world. It's like all those images of like a woman where she's like and having to hear a guy talk about philosophy, and it's something I thought at like 6 years old. It's like, no, you didn't.
I thought about that at 3 years old. So
also, you see, so when you were 6 years old, you solved the problem of the one and the many, did you? What was your It's like, no, you did not. You did not think of these things.
One at 4 years old.
Like, I mean, obviously, the best philosopher recently was a woman, but women are not very heavily represented in philosophy. If it's these things that they're thinking at like fucking 13 as like a slumber party or what have you, why are they not overwhelmingly?
You'd think they'd want to claim the world's greatest, like, philosopher of the last 150 years, right?
Mhm.
200 years, well, probably
Thousands.
500 years.
In the past 2,000 years since Aristotle, the best philosopher.
Well, let's have Aquinas. We want our holy trinity, right? So like Aquinas, what was he like? What?
He was like 1600s, wasn't he?
Yeah, 1600. So like 500, 400 years. Best philosopher. Rothbard's are great, but like he didn't do great with the metaphysics epistemology. He had to copy Rand's homework, right? Right. So Rand was the winner. She won, and the feminists, they don't care for her at all. They're like, what? Why not?
It's because they never care about women. Actually, they just care about their like Marxist ideology. They're basically a Marxist adjacent ideology, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is for gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss until someone actually does it, and then and then they're like, oh wait.
Speak it, sister.
All right, let's go back to the video, I guess.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Chronic won't have context.
Is that how it's supposed to be?
Oh, let me try play pause.
Workers were.
Did that fix it?
I can see it now.
Playing it
Yep.
here.
Yep, that's great.
I mean, where Amazon Air is unfair. Don't give a shit. Then don't work there. Don't care. Bust the unions. Jeff Bezos, you're my god. I will work. If there's ever a union strike, I will be a union buster for the pure pleasure of it. Hire me as a scab anytime you want, bro. I'm there for you.
Yeah, I've seen some tweets by Jeff Bezos, I think reposted by Manshama recently, and he's surprisingly based.
Oh yeah, he's great. I love Jeff Bezos. Most billionaires are great. There are a few which are horrible.
I saw this video lately where, if you're familiar with the video game DCS, it's like a plane combat simulator, right? And someone had reskinned all the planes to be like different companies, and like there was spam rammers on Prime. It was like a bunch of F-16s firing air-to-air missiles at like Facebook planes and Microsoft planes, and I was like, that's fucking hilarious. And there was like a song in the background that was like, it was like, Jeffrey Bezos, go fuck their wives and drink their blood. It's like, what the fuck? It's amazing. Spam rammers on Prime. If you need a missile delivered to your enemies ASAP, we got spam rammers on Prime for you.
I love Jeff Bezos' Billionaire Core. Right.
Exactly.
Prohibited from unionizing. This is the one.
Good. Yes. Brilliant. Prohibit them from unionizing. Mr. Marx says, why is that a bad thing? Do you have an ethical prescription here? It's bad to prohibit them from unionizing, is it? Why?
Something I realized lately about trade unionism, right? I'm going to say this every time I interject. Something I realized lately. Trade unions are literally cartels for labor, right? Like the same way that, like, the in the Henry Dow story, there's a German chemical cartel, right? Where there's a bunch of people who get together to collectively bargain to raise the price of their chemicals. The labor unionists are doing the exact same thing. They're forming an economic bloc to try to raise the value of their labor when they sell it, right, above the market value. And the other thing is, you realize is, for the same reason that the chemical cartels don't survive on the free market, the unions would not survive on a free market, because you would have defectors.
Exactly. Like, and it clarifies so many things in economics. when you recognize that there is no like special status to the capitalist in the trade. That's just another trade. Every trade is fundamentally, pardon me, the same in kind, right? The capitalist doesn't occupy some special status. So, yeah, you're entirely right. This is a cartel for labor. It's exactly the same sort of thing as a cartel for other things, because it's just on the other side of the trade. And this is why it's kind of ludicrous when people are like, no, the capitalist is like the dominant one in the trade. No, actually, no. If the capitalist wants your work, you're able to bargain just as well as he is, right? It's just he's got more money.
The difference is the seen and the unseen. Like, the labor is like very visible. Like, you can see someone doing an actual work, but the risk taken on by the capitalist is unseen. So like most people just don't see it.
Like that's the fundamental. That's the only thing you can say is that the capitalist has relatively higher time preference than the laborer, right? And that's that. Sorry, yeah. I did the day one Hoppian mistake. Fuck.
I do it too.
I haven't made that mistake in my entire career, and that was the first time. And now I have to commit seppuku.
Liquid Zulu is over.
I'm literally a day one Hoppian.
I actually made that exact same mistake earlier in the stream, but corrected myself immediately. Maybe that's what, like, maybe you just remembered that and you just got confused.
You infected my mind. Yeah, let's get back to these unioners, I guess.
Way that labor can come together, influence the balance of power. We can use this understanding to see how ruling elites.
I do want to clarify, like, obviously, none of us give a shit if somebody wants to do collective bargaining. Go for it, champ. If you want to get together with your friends and do like, we're all going to quit. Okay, go on. I don't care. But as Chronic points out, these unions are propped up by the state, by state regulations. Unions are propped up, and they are very powerful organizations, very terrible organizations. They completely destroy productivity. Also, Elon Musk, based.
I spoke to a friend of mine who deals with trade unionism, and he revealed to me that like there's like a list of union jobs, right? Like he works at a port. And I don't want to reveal too much about him. But he revealed to me that the union, there's a designated job for button pusher, right? That's the job of the guy in the elevator who pushes the button that tells the elevator what floor it goes to. That guy's job is
the fucking like? Is he the 1920s? Does he work in the past?
He works in the modern day. He literally does he works on like a cruise liner or like a. Or I don't know. He works at a cruise ship terminal and he operates like it's usually going to be a cargo elevator, I suppose. So he's operating like something that has a bunch of valuable shit on it, right? So obviously, if you fuck it up, it's going to do some damage. So I guess the button pusher is
that would be the most miserable
than the 1920s
job.
Elevator boy.
Like, can you imagine that you're a system which could just be automated? You're a shell script, and that is your job. Like that would be miserable.
Oh my god, imagine the trade union, except it's like the trade union at like ChatGPT, and so instead of having them do data centers, they just get millions and millions of people to do like matrix operations. So you get a piece of paper at your desk, you have to modify it slightly and pass it on to the next person.
Well, we could get literal Bitcoin miners if we did this.
Human Bitcoin mining.
By the way, in Three Body Problem, the television program. By the way, I think there's like two different television programs. One of them's really shit. One of them's really good.
One of them's the Netflix one.
Yeah.
I don't know if the other one exists. I don't know what it is. Let me have a look.
Yeah, no, in that there is like a human computer they do where they have like because they're trying to solve the three body problem, name of the show. It's like I have got all the Emperor's men, and they've each got like flags, and they build like a human CPU, like miserable.
They literally like construct a computer out of guys with flags, and like if they have a logic gate where it's like if these two guys present a white flag, then this guy will also present a white flag, and that's your AND gate, right?
And I think Vsauce did that before. He did it on a smaller scale though.
Took that idea from the book, but like
probably
it's really cool, and I mean that doesn't literally happen with humans. It's like in a computer game, and it's representing the things that I'm not going to spoil it, but it's great.
Yeah,
you should watch it. I mean, I haven't watched the show. I read the book. I should watch the show maybe.
Oh, by the way, did you hear that Iran was literally SOFA unlocked by the US? They gave them a virus which like subtly changed the outcomes of implosion calculations for like decades.
Oh, really?
So they've just been.
I mean, didn't they also send a virus to like break their centrifuges like Stuxnet?
Yeah,
Just, like,
yeah.
spin them way too fast.
But this one is like way more subtle. Like it just subtly changes the physics of implosion calculations, and they've been working on this for decades. So none of
That's
their
really
nuclear,
funny.
none of their nuclear science has been progressing for decades. Like, Jesus, that is crazy that they pulled that off.
That's cruel. That's hilarious. I love that. That's funny.
Large corporations can exploit their own power, push down working class people from unionizing. And if you think about it
So
today,
there's like a Chinese TV adaptation produced by Tencent, and there's an American TV adaptation produced by Netflix. I'll have to compare them. You know, we'll have to find out which one's good.
Yeah, the one I watched was pretty good, and it's only got one season so far. I think they're releasing another one at some point.
Well,
But
I mean, surely that was the Netflix show. So
yeah, okay, that'll be the one. It's the one where like half of it's set in like London for some reason. Because I suppose they didn't want it all set in China, so they got a bunch of like Chinese guys speaking English. It's like this doesn't really work.
yeah, that was definitely the Netflix show.
we are in an even more capitalized version that Marx likely saw. Every part of society is monetized. The second you pick up your phone, you're using.
Brother, well, I suppose I was going to say you've monetized this video, but he probably hasn't because he's only got 42 subscribers. So maybe he's living his principles. I suppose he hasn't monetized the video.
Oh.
a tool that was created by capitalism. While my iPhone might be something that I find useful and something that I can use to create my own intellectual labor, it's still a product of capitalism. And then let's take this as
No, don't use it.
You want us to go to subsistence farming and just like not have any technology at all?
Yeah, like this is the thing with these communists. Like they try to dunk on that like it's that comic like why don't you things could be slightly better, like, and yet you participate in the system. That comic, they try to dunk on that idea all the time. But it's like, no, you could absolutely vastly reduce your connection to capitalism. Like you have Hassan Piker making fun of that. Meanwhile, he's riding around in like sports cars. It's like, buddy, you could unionize. You should make your channel a cooperative. Why isn't Hassan Piker's Twitch stream run cooperatively, where everybody gets equal profits? Why isn't that the case? Because he doesn't believe in it.
Here's the thing: they're not just saying we can improve society somewhat. They're saying there is a morally objectionable feature of society, right? Like there's something about society which is bad to participate in it, right? And so therefore, like if they were not hypocritical, if they were following their own principles, they would not participate in society, right? But no, they're then framing it like no. All I'm saying is we can change some things to improve it, right? Which is not what they're saying, right? They're saying that the capitalists are morally abhorrent, right? Not that the capitalists are merely inefficient, right? That there's a better like economic arrangement, right? They're saying no, the capitalist like engaging in consumption is unethical, right? That's what they mean.
Yeah.
No ethical consumption under capitalism. Well, okay, then be ethical. Go out in the wilderness and I don't know what you would do that isn't capitalism, you know. I mean,
no property, so I could come along and like take their food or whatever. But like it's we have an equivalent thing on our side, but we actually follow through on our ethics, namely IP. We don't believe that IP is legitimate. As it turns out, if you go down to the description of this very stream, you'll notice that it's Creative Commons, and I disclaim the attribution requirement. Now, I could benefit perhaps if I had IP on my videos and prevent other people from copying them and so on and so forth. I could take down dissenters because dissenters have reposted my content in the past. I could do all these things, and I would perhaps even be in the legal right, according to the state, to do a lot of it. But I don't believe in that. I believe that is wrong. Imagine if I was just saying, well, no, IP is wrong. I'm just advocating that we improve society by getting rid of IP, but I'm still going to participate in enforcing IP whilst it's there. It's like, no, I don't do that. I follow my fucking ethics. None of the fucking Marxists do.
You know, because it would just be simply too hard for you to do it. If, you know.
Yeah, you can't live under the Marxist ethics. I wonder if that has a comment on whether it's true or not.
If everyone follows communism, we get global extinction.
Yep.
No way, really? Fine.
A step further, the second you turn on your phone and you scroll to the nearest app, we're completely bombarded by advertisements. So when academics use this as a lens, we can see the use.
I mean, by the way, you only really get bombarded with advertisements if you either don't bother turning on ad blocker or you're fine with advertisements. Like, those are the cases under which you get bombarded with advertisements. Like, it's a choice. You can choose to not see an advert ever. I never see advertisements.
Yeah, on your own computer, right? Like I recently installed Alma Linux to get off of Manjaro, right? And I opened up Firefox and I hadn't installed an ad blocker yet. And I opened YouTube, I'm like, oh my god, there's so many fucking ads. And then immediately I just went to get uBlock Origin, and suddenly I'm free. I don't have to care, right?
Yeah, no,
I
like,
guess, you go outside, you can't stop having seeing billboards, but like I don't care. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah, like I just filter billboards out of my mind. Like, I don't even acknowledge that they exist. Like,
I don't remember the last billboard I like. I mean, there are some that are funny. There was like one that was like on the metro. It was like a teeth whitening ad, and it was like Sydney, aspire to whiteness. And like that's really funny. That's I took a photo.
You know,
something.
You are right. Like, whenever I'm like on a browser where I don't have ad block, it is like jarring what the internet looks like for normies. I would not enjoy that one bit.
For people who don't know how to install ad block or uBlock Origin, 2 clicks, click like there's an extension button on your browser. Click that and then type in ad block and then pick one, right? And then you probably should work, right? I use uBlock Origin. I don't remember why. I probably picked it because it was good, and it works.
Yep.
I mean, even when it comes to billboards and like posters out in the wild, in a truly free market, like you won't have those if people really hated them, because it would just be like it's like put like billboards that people hated around your business. Like less people will be going there, right? They prefer to go to somewhere where there's less billboards and less like posters if they're like really bad and really bad for like aesthetics or like making the whole place look terrible. So you just won't get that under a free market if people really didn't like it. You only get that if it was actually profitable for the company, meaning it won't cost them all their customers.
I think we have a pretty natural distribution of billboards in real life already. Like, because like, I mean, I work at a restaurant. There's no billboards inside my restaurant, in the restaurant I work at, right? But if I go to the metro, I mean, the metro is like, I guess, a state sanctioned company or whatever. But like, they have ads on the siding, and I doubt that would change if it was privatized. I think I've been on some private trains, and they have ads too. But like, the thing is, no one cares. Like, it doesn't affect people that there's fucking ads on the metro, right? It's not like you have to wait for an unskippable ad to leave the train. It's like, please, we need to get to work. Sorry, you have to wait 5 seconds before you can skip this ad. It's like that's not what happens. Oh.
Anyway, let me just read this super chat before we continue, because it is relevant to what we were talking about. Griff1 None for $5. Thank you very much. Frequent donator to the stream. Love to see it. The most base thing that happened during the Chaz event was the homeless people taking all the food from the ANCOMs. Yeah, they've got no counter to that. They've got no objection.
Right, so you can't stop them.
Whoops, it's communal property, bro. Like, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Not theft, it's just redistribution.
Exactly.
I found one of the ads I saw on the metro. It's like what does it say? It says premium IV drip experience. The heart of Sydney's North Shore. It's like this clinic that's like giving people IV drips that give them like detox or whatever. And it's an ad on the metro, so it looks like you're living in like the cyberpunk world, and it's really funny. Like, what, the premium IV drip experience? Yeah, that's
like they just give you a fucking banana bag, basically.
I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Oh, by the way, did you see that fucking Midjourney's moving into like they've got like this ultrasound machine they developed?
I did not hear about that. What?
It's like what people are saying is it's like a full body ultrasound, so it's like equivalent resolution to like an MRI, but of course, presumably a lot cheaper than an MRI.
Magnetic.
Yeah, and you don't need like contrast fluid or shit because you might be allergic. So that could be pretty fucking cool.
Or if you have some kind of ferromagnetic implants, you don't fucking die when you get into it.
Anywho, let's get back to Mr. Lucid Politics.
How capitalism continues to exploit labor. The
Exploit. Whoops daisies, what does that mean? Means taking surplus value. Not bad, not bad, no moral component there.
labor where you go and you earn money through your job, and then it's continued to
one thing I want to note about the like wage rates, right? If you don't want to be an Austrian economist and you want to be empiricist about it, right? It turns out that most people basically get paid slightly less than the marginal labor value of their product, meaning like the amount of dollars that they add to the business that they which would not be produced if they weren't there, they get paid slightly less than that, right? So it's like if I earn like $10 for the whole business, I probably get paid like $9.90, right, an hour or something, right? So like and this is the point that like Michael Humer does this. He did this in like a presentation he gave. It was like a debate with a communist or whatever, and his point was basically like, well, if you're concerned with fairness, is your concern that like this person should be paid more than they produce? Well, that wouldn't be fair to the other people in the business, because like the other workers, they would be better off if the business just fired this guy and then redistributed his wage to everyone else. Like they right? Or just kept it and invested it into capital somewhere. Like they would be able to become more productive, right? So what the price signal in your wage is literally signaling, if you get paid more than you produce in value, is that you are literally a drain on the like production, right? You're literally negatively productive. It's bad to pay you, right? So I don't know, just think about it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, if you paid him exactly the productivity of his labor, then, well, why would the capitalist make that deal at all? Why would they go into that where they don't get any money? They've got to take on all this risk and they get nothing, no kickbacks. Like it's yeah,
because you'd be literally at like it would be the identically moneyed situation to if you had not hired him. So that is at most not a loss, right? I think the best employees produce a lot of value, right? And I think those are the situations where if someone gets paid a lot less than they produce, it's a situation where they are producing so much that they don't really like getting a small fraction of that is not painful. Like if it's like a software engineer who like writes a program that's used by millions of computers in the world, right? He probably doesn't get paid like $1 million. He might get paid like a 300K salary, right? But like he could buy a nice car. He doesn't care.
Indeed.
Cycle through advertisements where you go purchase new t-shirts or we go purchase items on Amazon, all the while people at the top of the ladder continued to retain the wealth, while those in the middle and lower portions of the ladder are unable to move upward. So what makes Marxism so useful? It doesn't just
he just doesn't give any explanation justifying that. Like people just aren't able to move upwards. Okay, proof. Like just asserts it arbitrarily.
Well, you see, some people can't move upwards because they are like a genius who hasn't reached the right windfall. But then most people who can't move upwards are just being paid the marginal value productivity of their labor. I hate to tell you, Mr. Marxist, most of the people who are like in blue collar work are actually smarter than you, but also they also just like and getting paid more, right? Like most people who are like like day laborers who get paid minimum wage are not like. They're not just waiting for a windfall so they can start their own business. No, they're people who are just like, and this is not meant to be like this is not meant to be disparaging to them. They are honorable people generally, right? But they're just not the people who are constituted to be entrepreneurs. They don't have the intelligence and the right personality complex for that, right? And that's fine.
Yeah, it's a time preference question, and it's not bad to have high time preference and want to be a laborer. Like, we want division of labor, right? Ideally, I wouldn't have to be an investor, for instance. I've got to be an investor because otherwise my money just gets swallowed up by inflation. Ideally, saving would mean just putting it to one side and not spending it. But that isn't actually saving in our system. To save, you've got to be an investor. So we want actual division of labor where some people who are best constituted to be entrepreneurs, they are entrepreneurs, and other people don't have to be. Like, not everybody has to be a CEO. Like, this is ludicrous.
But also, like, we can never know for sure, like, exactly how things would be in a free market, right? Like, we're not central planners. Like, the government has so much regulations that, like, sometimes it might be the case that there's a blue collar worker that could become a CEO. But like, because of all the regulations and all the taxes, it would actually be unprofitable for him to become a CEO, even though he could have been profitable as a CEO in a free market.
Mm-hmm.
That's also true. Like there's many people who like start a business and then they get choked out by regulation, and like you have so you have this sort of this pressure towards larger than would otherwise exist companies.
It gives us useful lenses to interpret society today. One of my favorite examples is David Harvey's Right to the City. David Harvey is, of course, a modern Marxist theorist, and I've included a link to his piece in the show notes below. So,
if you said, of course, and David Harvey is, of course, a modern Marxist theorist, like, is he famous? I didn't know that.
Never heard of him.
Literal mega lol.
essentially, in Harvey's piece, he looks at the
Maybe-
city and he
maybe
says,
we would know him if we were Marxists, you know.
And also, we
It's kinda
wouldn't.
like, it's kind of like saying Hopper is, of course, an Austrian economist, right? Like, I mean, yeah, that's obvious to people who know who Hopper is.
It's the XKCD comic about geologists.
Well,
So-
everyone knows a few feldspars.
and quartz, of course. Let me bring this up. Silicate chemistry is second nature to us geochemists. It's easy to forget that the average person probably only knows the formulas for olivine and one or two feldspars and quartz, of course. Even when they're trying to compensate for it, experts in anything wildly overestimate the average person's familiarity with their field.
Well, the average person obviously knows that the non-aggression principle, aggression means conflict, of course. Aggression means initial conflict. Of course, indeed.
The average person probably only knows about one or two solutions to the to the donut homestead problem, and dialogical estoppel, of course.
Meanwhile, apparently Dave Smith doesn't know one solution to the donut homestead problem. Oh,
as this
dear.
isn't simply just a place we live, but it's something that's shaped by capitalism itself, and gives examples of how everyday life has imbalances of power exploited by people that earn a lot of money and those that are continuing to create labor that supports the system itself. We could see the imbalances of power throughout the world. I'm thinking some places that I've been to myself, places that I've lived: London, Dakar, Senegal, New York, Tokyo, Mumbai, places like this. There are luxury accommodation alongside housing shortages throughout cities. Gentrification is when richer people move in and push out lower income.
The whole gentrification point is just utterly confusing to me. Because they don't want white people to move to an area because that's gentrification. They don't want white people to leave an area because that's white flight. Like, what are you looking for
It's all
here?
win, tails you lose.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing, whenever I hear someone like complain about something in their life, on a YouTube video, right? And I hear someone complain about something, or like, something, they're like, this is the fault of capitalism. I immediately like pause, dislike, and click off the video because like, this person is stupid. Like, it's just so annoying, especially if it's like a normal video. Like usually if I'm watching a video on politics, right, and someone is going to complain about capitalism, I'll keep watching because I'm like, okay, I'm here to hear about your political opinion. But if someone is talking about like, I don't know, the video game industry, or like, their like, I don't know, psychology, and it's like, we live under a capitalist system, which
This is
long
late
gone,
stage
like-
capitalism.
Oh my god! Like it happens in like in a worrying amount of like, I don't know, like Gen Z YouTuber who's like, I'm writing about the Gen Z living situation, and he's like, late stage capitalism. Okay, you clearly don't know anything about what the situation is.
And this was my whole impetus behind trying to get as many libertarian YouTubers as possible. Unfortunately, I only succeeded with Galazar. And the other ones quit.
I'll get there in the next 1 week. I'm gonna post something, I promise. I don't have any exams to do. I just have to go to work probably today and tomorrow and Sunday, and but I'll have something out eventually. I
There you go.
promise.
Yeah, no, that was like
I
my
was
whole.
gonna make a video during the summer as well, so I guess I still have a few months left until my deadline.
Yeah, like
It'll be fine.
I think it's good to have. Like, I'm not picky. Like, I've never. Like, I've given advice to people on YouTube who didn't even have like libertarian channels, but they are a libertarian who is a YouTuber. That has always been my standard, because yeah, I want there to be like just random YouTubers out there who are like in the background, they're just actually anarcho-capitalists. I've known a few
Yeah, I
gaming
think that's really
YouTubers
good.
who've been like that. Like,
Yeah.
this is a good thing because it just subtly gets through in the way you conduct yourself, in the ways you're describing. Like, you can see vast majority of like the LA streamer sphere, they're socialists. Right? I want there to be a huge contingent of like just hardcore anarcho-capitalists just making random videos on whatever the hell.
And cap YouTube sphere. I mean, you can see it. I think the one thing that I saw is like H Bomba guy, right? He's like one of the bread tubers, but he makes videos about video games. You know, he's a video essayist, right? I'm like, we need the ANCAP H Bomba guy. I think I can be that, you know. And
Hell
I'll
yeah.
I'm
log
not too
him,
familiar
so I
with
have a
H
bit
Bomber
of
guy.
draw.
What exactly is his style?
Oh, he's just bald
Um,
retard.
I don't think that's what chronic means when he said he'll be the ANCAP.
I'm not bald. I have a full head of hair. You know, I'm Serbian. I don't think either of my grandfathers went bald either. So like, I think I'm gonna have all my hair for the rest of my life. Thank God. You know, inshallah. And his style of video is basically he's like a video essayist. So he'll do like long form structured videos about like the narrative of Fallout, or you know, anything, right? But he'll often introduce his politics as a vector of analysis. It's like this you can understand this through socialism. I was like, great, wonderful, thanks.
He attacked one of your countrymen, internet historian. So you gotta tear him down.
My God.
You know that people got really pissed at internet historian because I think he based a video on an article. It's like, okay, who cares?
Well, he's not a communist.
Like,
so...
it's like, yeah, that's the thing. It was clearly like a political attack. Like, he wasn't just genuinely concerned about plagiarism. It was clearly a political attack against his enemies.
Oh my God.
Like, he should just be honest. You should say, I don't like internet historian because he's a right winger. Just say it. Just say it.
I don't even know that internet historian's a right winger. I think he's just like
He's not a leftist.
like a shit lib.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a shit lib. That's like I think he has like default political opinion number 4, right?
But anyway,
Income, folks, and this is what Harvey sees as
Can you guys still see the video? Because I can't.
yes.
I might be having problems too. Hang on.
Okay, we're at 6 minutes 34.
I'll just leave the activity and join again and see if that fixes it.
Yeah. Is this about the man in cave story? Yes. Very clearly, H. Bomber guy was just doing a political attack against an internet historian. When you see something like that, you can just kind of dismiss it out of hand. It's a similar thing with this quibbling over the numbers in the rape inquiry report, which I'm doing a video on. Where clearly it's not just people aren't just genuinely. I mean, some people are genuinely interested in what the true number is. Some people, but a lot of these people are they're looking for some reason to counter signal the report. They're just trying to glom onto whatever they can in order to counter signal it. And like,
and I'm gonna join through my browser and see if that fixes it.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Like, that is just it is sickening to me. Like the lady who was like, well, these I'll try not to laugh. The county line, that refers to a phone line, and that means the whole report. It's like, shut up, lady. Clearly, she's just jilted.
There's a typo in the report.
Yeah, she's just jilted because she wasn't included in the report, and she wasn't hired for it, and so she's looking for any reason to try and shut it down because she's pissed off. Like, so fuck off, lady. Are you able to see the video again, Acorn?
It's still a black screen for me, although it might be because it's paused.
Oops, daisies.
we're income, folks.
Okay, yeah, I can see it now. 6
Cool.
minutes and 31 seconds.
Cool.
Is this the problems you mentioned about what's it called? Discord's watch together, just randomly going off sometime.
Yeah, it's just so bad. Like that's why I set up a Jellyfin server for this, but then it wasn't working. It wasn't allowing me. So I even fucking downloaded the video to play over Jellyfin. Like Jellyfin, oh my god, if I can just get it working. For
How
one,
does Jellyfin usually work?
so it's basically like a media server that you can have, like Planks, for instance. But you can have a watch together. So I made accounts for like people who I'd done video reviews with before, and like some guest accounts, and like they would be then able to log in to this Jellyfin server that lives on my computer, and then it would be like seamless watch together, no problems. But earlier it wasn't fucking working, so I was trying to update my computer to get it to work again, and it's taking too long.
Right, so usually would I just need to log on to one of the accounts you created, and then I can just watch together with you?
Yeah, exactly. I could just give you a link, and then you can log in, and then it would be perfect.
Yeah, that seems great. Welcome back, Chronic. Is it working for you now?
Fuck it, just play the video. We'll see what happens.
Right.
I'm hearing a lot of ringing, like a notification sort of thing on the background. That's the same sort of sound as activity. Which
I mean, that's
I'm
when I
not sure
join and leave the call. That's probably what happened.
Right.
This is what Harvey sees as the city.
Alright, yeah, there we go.
Is that working for you guys?
Yep, works for me.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We don't necessarily have a right to the city. Some people have the right to the city, those with more resources than others.
This is the other thing with like leftists. You get this a lot with New York leftists, where they are staunch import infinity immigrants people. But the second somebody's a transplant, that's the name for it, a transplant to New York, that is, they weren't born and raised in New York, they want you to fucking like hang from the rafters. They hate the fact that you exist.
You can't be a New Yorker unless you were born in New York.
Like,
that's what, you know. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Why not?
It's blood and soil New Yorkerism. It's this is like the common opinion there. It's crazy to me.
The city.
I mean, it's like how with tariffs, a lot of people would support international tariffs, like between different countries, and then suddenly, a tariff between like different states in America. Oh, that's just crazy talk. Clearly wouldn't work.
The funny thing is there were tariffs between different states. That was like before the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
That's like during the Articles of Confederation, they had interstate tariffs. That was the justification, part of it, for like drafting the Constitution and the new like federal government, right? To get rid of these interstate tariffs.
It's like what's that Remy song from Reason TV, where he's like talking about like we should put tariffs on bananas. That was it. Now they should be growing in East Atlanta.
So we can have the shitty bananas that we make our own bananas here.
Yeah. Like it's like I think the Chicagoites got it right with their analogy that international trade. It's basically, imagine there was a big box, and you put money into this box, and it would give you whatever the hell you wanted. Like this was seen like a magical invention, but it turns out somebody removes the box one day, and it's just a port. And you're just trading with people overseas. That's what trade is. It's a magic box that you put money into, and it gives you anything you can imagine.
And people will like say it like there's a security concern, like, oh well, if we're trading with China, then China gets like more developed and stronger. Okay, well, like imagine you're a company, right? And you also have security concerns, right? You let's say you're buying chips from Taiwan. Well, like if I'm a company, right, and I want to keep existing, and I'm worried that China is going to invade Taiwan, I'm gonna try to think if there's an alternative so that my business isn't exposed to this massive risk of the Taiwan semiconductor company being obliterated, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, also the other question is like, everyone who's really worried about China invading Taiwan for the semiconductor company, right? Like, okay, what's the Chinese Communist Party going to do once they annex Taiwan, right? They kill all of the nationalists. They institute total turbo communism on Taiwan, and they have TSMC. They've kidnapped all the engineers. Are they gonna start eating the chips? Or what are they gonna do? Are they gonna What, they're not going to export them anymore? They're not going to sell them? What are they going to do with the chips now they have them, right? Like, great.
Yeah, I understand why people in Taiwan are like concerned about that. Obviously, they would be. But it's really, how about this? If you're concerned about that, how about you advocate for capitalism back home? And then you can have these companies spring up back home. And then you don't have to fucking concern yourself with it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. If you're in the US and you're like, we want, like, we need to defend Taiwan because they have really good chip manufacturing, right? But like, and you know, it's just really hard to have chip manufacturing in the US. I wonder why. You know? I really wonder, given all the people who are protesting like the data centers being built, which are like a fraction as like difficult to construct as a chip manufacturing facility. I really wonder why it's so hard to build a chip factory in the US.
Yeah, oh my god, my fucking stepmom is like one of those people who thinks AI like drinks up absurd amounts of water. It's like, I was trying to tell her, like, no. In fact, like a Google search, if you eat a hamburger, you've used up more water than like thousands of ChatGPT queries. Like, where do you think the water goes when it's being used to cool these data centers? Like, it doesn't just go into they don't beam it into space. Like, it goes back into the water cycle.
It gets destroyed. Antimatter.
Like, I don't understand this concern. It's insane to me.
Some days on Twitter, I wish that the data centers did like suck the water out and just obliterate it. So that what we could do, we could take anti-AI people and we could just melt them. We could convert them into water because the human body is like 70% water. So we could just take anti-AI people and we could feed them into the coolant port for the data centers, and it would cool them down. It would be a good use of resources.
Yeah, and use the remains to fill potholes, I guess.
Exactly. See, he gets it.
Something that we have the right to, like the freedom of speech in some cases, but it's something that we have to live with, something that we experience and something that we deal with on the ladders of capitalism. Each person, based on their background, how they look, their socioeconomic status, they all have different experiences.
I'm starting to come around to the view that whenever a person says the word socioeconomic, you can just stop listening to them from that point on. Like, I've never heard it used in a proper context, like anything approaching rational speech.
I've used it in a proper context, but only in like world building conversations when I'm writing my science fiction work. It's like the socioeconomic conditions of these people because they have an interesting social structure and they are in a dangerous economic situation. So that's socioeconomic.
Yeah, but it seems to me like whenever like a leftist says that, it's almost always said by a leftist. It just means, well, of course this guy stabbed the white girl to death whilst saying, I got that white bitch. Of course he said that because he was poor. And when you're poor, you commit crimes.
Conditions what made him commit crime.
Yeah, it's like, okay, buddy, I have been very poor before. Fabian Liberty has been even poorer than me. He's been homeless before.
Homeless and starving. Like, he hadn't eaten for like 5 days or something. It was crazy.
And he still wasn't going around pushing people onto subway tracks. It's crazy to me.
Stabbing them.
Yeah, he wasn't doing that.
You see, the difference is that Fabian Liberty is white, whereas in that case it's a black person. And as we all know, black people, they can't help themselves. They must murder.
It's like the old joke. Somebody comments on, they see a picture of a hackathon and they say, imagine the smell, and then everyone's like, what the heck, that's racist because there's brown people at the hackathon. That's racist, you saying that they must smell. He's like, no, I was just talking about it because they're nerds. It's like, you can't fool us, we all know who smells.
What do you mean by that? Are you sure? The racist and anti-racist horseshoe,
Experiences of living in a city. Who gets to live where, who gets pushed out, are all affected by these capitalist.
No. Who gets to live where? That's affected by city zoning laws. You described zoning laws there, sir. Zoning laws, get rid of those. Yeah, get rid of the government. That's capitalism. Capitalism is, you can live wherever the fuck you want if you're gonna fucking afford it. Right? Because you're not entitled to other people. Right? You're not entitled to the liberty of other people. That's fundamentally like why I just don't buy any of these concerns over like, oh, the capitalists, they think they can take all this from the laborers. It's like, well, okay, that was agreed upon. Take the flip side. Take the flip side of the communists. They want to enslave people so that they can have what they want. They think they're entitled to the bodies of other people so that they can have their communist dream. That is the literal interpretation of what he's saying.
Structures. So as the Harvey piece illustrates, Marxism isn't a regime, it isn't a social movement. In this case, it is just a lens to critique the way we live on a daily basis.
Critique. There's that word again. Big capital C. Critique. He's a Kantian.
Marxist theory can help us identify the unequal structures of a capitalist society and how it affects everyday individuals. So in practice, often what we're talking about in the news media or online, Marxism is quite different than how it's applied theoretically. An interesting point of this is a key.
Brother, you gotta stop with that fucking weird ass cut. I gotta keep pointing out. You gotta stop with that. Like, it's been too many times now. I'm sorry. You gotta cut that. You gotta cut that out. Cut that cut.
The assumption by Marx was that the so-called Marxist revolution or the class revolution or the socialist revolution was likely, or in some cases could be viewed as inevitable in some parts of society and in some states in particular.
No. It wasn't. In some cases, in some society, in some way it could be viewed as inevitable. No, he was saying it's an inevitable next step in history that there's going to be a communist revolution. Like, this guy is misrepresenting, and that's exactly what I said he would do. He's misrepresenting what the Marxian theory of history says. Marxian theory of history says, 100% no doubt about it, there will be a communist revolution. We are predestined to enter communism, because that is the synthesis.
Like most modern Marxists, quote unquote, like don't believe in dialectical materialism, except when it's convenient for them, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem with like Marxism, and particularly pragmatism. Like if you argue with anyone who's like a schooled like academic pragmatist, like they went to university and they studied William James, they are some of the most frustrating people to argue with, because they will believe things only as long as it is convenient for them, right? Because that's literally what pragmatism does to you, right? And Marxists, in the modern sense, are largely pragmatists because they go to university, and the underlying structure of basically all university courses works on the philosophy of pragmatism, right? So they're Marxists because they are pragmatically Marxists, right? Marxism appeals to their ethical presuppositions, and then the Marxist theory obviously kind of fits in, right? But then as soon as dialectical materialism is kind of inconvenient for them to believe, they don't believe in it.
Exactly. Like, and this is what I was going over earlier, like, before you came on. They believe in contradiction right down to the core. So it's no problem for them, for Hayaz al-Din, to switch on a dime between being a determinist and being a free willist. But it's no bother to him, because he believes in contradiction right down to his core. And if they were just honest about what they believe, this is why you can't find an honest Marxist. Because if they were honest about what they're saying, you would assume they're schizophrenic. It sounds like the belief system of a schizophrenic. It really does.
Because the capitalist elites exploited the working class so much. An interesting point from Marx's own work is that he thought that the Marxist, socialist, the workers' revolution was a likely outcome in many capitalist.
Not likely outcome. Inevitable. Inevitable. Drop this word, lucid politics, if you're watching this. I hope you do. Drop this understanding of Marxism, where it's like, well, it's a likely outcome that there will be a communist revolution here because of these reasons. That is not what Marx is saying. Marx is saying, given the fact that there is class struggle, contradiction exists between the proletarian and the bourgeois, right? Because there is that class struggle there, it is inevitable that you end up with communism. There is no other possible outcome. Right, so drop this understanding of it's likely to happen. That's not what he's saying. Like, be honest with what Marx is saying, Lucid Politics. Please, just be honest. If you're making a video called What is Marxism, actually tell us what Marxism says.
The states. While Marx thought this was potentially going to happen and
Nope, definitely going to happen.
likely in some
Eventually going
places,
to happen.
he was largely wrong. In some places, there were Marxist-esque revolutions, such as that in the Bolshevik Revolution or the Maoist Revolution. Even these we can see as not being perfectly Marxist because of the states that came out of them.
Okay, so this is an insane point to take up. Okay, so it's not Marxism because it led to a state. Okay, so so really what we have here is that, well, true Marxism, they would be exactly the same, but then they would just willingly dissolve the state. It's like, okay, well, what about the criticism that they're never going to do that? Like, so there is no true Marxist implementation. What about that? Like, every time you try to implement Marxism, it's going to end up like the Soviet Union. What about that?
I think the difference between when Marxists say that's not true Marxism versus when we say that's not true capitalism is that they are basing whether it is true Marxism on the results of it, not the praxis of like what they will actually do.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, like we base our whether it's true capitalism based on what the system actually does instead of the consequences of okay, well, the second order and third order things that arise.
Yeah, it's what were they even setting out to do in the first place? In the first place, the Marxist-Leninists, they were setting out to create a dictatorship of the proletariat, and god dang nubbit, they succeeded. They succeeded in creating that dictatorship of the proletariat.
This is something that happens, right? Whenever I like argue with a socialist on Discord or whatever, and I'm talking about like, well, we don't have real like we're not existing under capitalism right now. We're existing under a mixed market, and they're like, are you just saying that real capitalism has never been tried? And I'm like, yeah, I am kind of saying that, but the reason that makes sense for me to say, when it doesn't make sense for you to say that real communism has been tried, is because we have not followed the steps in the Rothbard playbook for like social change. Like we have not had a like situation where the Rothbardian vanguard has taken control of a country to institute no government, no taxes ever, right? Like,
Yeah.
So we have like there is a direct violation of our principles in action here, right? Whereas for the communists, because they believe in contradictions, they don't really have specific principles. But also, to the extent that they have a plan, that plan was implemented to the letter in specific places where we can point to it. So, like, you can't say that wasn't what we had planned to do. It is what you planned to do, and it was done, and that's what happened. It's called war communism. It happened in the Soviet Union, and it didn't go very well for anyone.
Exactly. You'll very much like the Three Body Problem TV series.
Oh yeah, the Cultural Revolution. That's the Three Body Problem TV series. As I understand, they have the Cultural Revolution scene at the beginning, like it was in the original book, and that's the one thing I really saw of that show, and it's really like that got me to read the book. It's really striking, and it's really it even understates the extent to which the Cultural Revolution was fucking insane. Like, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, they would literally be saying these are anti-revolutionary beliefs you're trying to teach in your classroom. Time to get beaten to death. Like, that is literally what happened. If you're trying to teach, the theory of relativity, for instance, that's anti-Marxian. That's anti-revolutionary. So we have to beat you to death. And this is why do they have to beat you to death? Why does there have to be violent revolution?
Because they can't argue with you.
Yeah, exactly. It goes right down to the metaphysics. There is no possible means. If you have bourgeois logic, there is no means for them to convince you of communism. There is no means, because you have a different logic that you're working under. This is the meaning of polylogism, term coined by Mises, means multiple logics. They are saying, well, those guys have different logic to us, so our only recourse, we can't reason with them, it's not possible. Our only recourse is to beat them into submission, to death even. They have to be killed, and then we can have communism. And this is inevitable. It's inevitable that they're going to try and kill you, on their viewpoint. So, I'm almost getting like a Casimir. Casimir is like kind of rising up within me and being my spirit guardian here. When someone's saying they're a communist, perhaps what you should read from that is they're saying, inevitably at some point, I'm going to try and kill you. If they're truly, they understand what being a communist means. That is the implication of the words.
Yeah, and the problem is, I've had this argument with Casimir before. It's like, well, can you take someone's ideology as a like a statement of criminal intent, right? Like if you go into an alleyway and a guy comes up to you and says, "I'm about to steal your wallet," and you can reasonably argue from legally that you're justified in defending yourself before he even does anything, because he's just stated his intent, right? Does that same defense apply to a communist? And I'm of the view that often it doesn't, because most people who call themselves like communists or like state their political beliefs, they're largely inactive people. They're like, I believe this should happen, but I'm not actually going to do anything about it, right? But if you see someone who's like, I'm a communist revolutionary, I'm organizing for the communist revolution, I've bought 100 AKs so that I can arm the communist militia, right?
Do not finish that thought.
To start, don't
finish the thought.
Chronic's being me right now.
we all see where it's going. And yes, correct.
We're in fact not Marxist states. While the right-wing media would like you to believe that every instance of an authoritarian government...
By the way, when they say like right-wing media, bear in mind that leftists think that Reddit is right-wing. They genuinely believe that Reddit is a right-wing platform. The
right-wing stronghold, The Guardian.
Yeah, so you should take with a massive grain of salt whenever they say right-wing media. What they mean is that people who control media companies are wealthy. Like, yeah, okay, brilliant. And also Hassan Piker is wealthy, and also he's being funded by a Chinese billionaire. So good job. Your entire fucking...
So he's a communist billionaire.
Yeah, he lives in China. And by their terms, he is Chinese. So if I get off the plane in Beijing, I am Chinese.
Exactly.
A repressive regime. We're all Marxist, socialist, or communist regimes. There has not ever been an exact Marxist model of a government implemented in history.
What would an exact Marxist model of government look like? What would it look like? Has he explained? Have I just forgotten because it's taking us so long to get through this? Has he explained? I don't think he has. Where did they depart? He said, because they have a state. Well, isn't there supposed to be a dictatorship of the proletariat? Isn't that supposed to be a thing? Isn't there supposed to be central planning?
Is when the government does stuff. The more stuff
the
government does, the more Marxist it is. That's just it. There you go.
What does it look like? This is what I want to see from this video. What are the concrete steps that would have to be undertaken to have a true Marxist society being built? And would it never include dictatorship of the proletariat? Would it never include violent revolution? I just don't think that's true. I do not think that's true. Let me...
I think I saw a video from Tick History where he said that what Marx wrote was that there's supposed to be a dictatorship of the proletariat during the transitional period, and then after that transitional period is finished, the government will just dissolve away. How? Who cares?
Yeah.
But it will just dissolve away. And Tick basically said that, okay, so the Marxists basically advocate for anarcho-capitalism in the end.
Yes, and
true Marxism is anarcho-capitalism.
So we'll have anarcho-capitalism.
Moreover, then,
everyone's free.
So then they did do every step up to that point, and then he's making a prediction, right? That when they reach that point, the government will wither away, right? So maybe he was just wrong about that prediction. Because he predicted that when they get up to that point, the dictatorship of the proletariat, which they did get up to, when they get to that point, the state will wither away.
We might be cooking. Because what happened? What happened in 1989 or 1991? The USSR did in fact wither away. So maybe Marx was right. Maybe he was.
We currently live under communism.
Marx was right, because the state did wither away, and then we got left with, I don't know, the KGB crypto state.
Anyway, let me go through a couple of super chats, then I gotta go take a piss. So I suppose you guys can take a piss right now if you want.
I'm good. I'm gonna
I just
sit
went
around and-
earlier.
All right. Griff won none for $2. Thank you very much. The dialectic is just an epistemological shield. Yeah, because they can just move between stances at will. Diego Amateur for 2,500 CLP. Thank you very much. The true Marxist end goal is where the dictatorship engulfs the earth and takes society with it as it collapses. Yeah, because that's what they always say. We can't have Marxism in just this one area. We got to have it everywhere. It's like, well, you know, if it truly worked, and like that's the whole thing where like, no, Cuba's poor because of sanctions, economic sanctions on them. That's why they're poor. Like, hang on, shouldn't sanctions mean that they're not being exploited by Western capitalists? So shouldn't that make them richer? Why would they suddenly become rich if there were in effect sanctions on the entire planet and everywhere was communism? Why would that suddenly make them rich? Why does that change? Not clear. And then Kira Sakumune for $2. Thank you very much. Zulu is my favorite right-wing media. Well, thank you very much. Let me go take a piss, I guess, so you guys can chat amongst yourselves.
I guess I'll talk about, you know, like world building or something the interesting as relates to politics, you know, and cap
Yeah,
world
sure.
building. Okay. Acorn and I can shoot the shit. We'll do it. Something that's interesting is like I know a couple of like socialists who do writing or like world building stuff, and inevitably there's this like really, and if they're kind of very honest, like because I don't really have like a beef with them, right? They do interesting artwork and they do interesting like writing, so I'm kind of more fascinated than I am argumentative. I don't really have a very disagreeable personality, so I can be friends with these people, right? But inevitably you end up like kind of seeing the contradictions in their work. It's like, oh, we're gonna build a society where people are free, but also we have state planned production. It's like, okay, but like what? So like, what if the person wants to wants to do a business? It's like, well, you never want to anyway. It's like, really, there's just no reason to do it. Yeah, if you just go work at one of the bureaus. Great, but what if I have to go to the bureau and the entire bureau is like being retarded, so I need to do my own thing? Well, guess what? You're just fucked, bro. It's over. Kill yourself.
You have freedom, but you're just screwed.
Sorry, I can't say that on stream. I should have just give up. Go somewhere else. You know, it's like, you know, I like because usually like, you know, you see like socialist realism like artwork or like, you know, socialists who do like world building, right? And they are trying to like depict a pleasant place to be. Right, a pleasant life. So there's definitely like, it's not like they want humanity to suffer, although there are some Marxists who probably do want humanity to suffer and are like, you know, they just kind of like hate it. I actually have met people like that. I have to remind myself. They're like people who genuinely hate humanity, and they view capitalism as like an expression of why humanity is bad. And the fact that communism isn't here is kind of damning evidence against humanity, right? I've met people like that, but like most people, they're trying to imagine a pleasant life, right? I think that's what makes me so agreeable. It's like, well, this person might be a communist, but it's not like they're a communist because they want us all to die. They're just a communist because they don't know any better, you know?
So,
What's up, Acorn? You want to say something?
sorry, my mind is currently kind of jumbled. I shouldn't be getting. I'm not sleepy right now, but my mind is kind of tired. So,
Well, I just woke up, so I'm like not sleepy, but I'm also not fully awake.
I mean, my sleep schedule is just completely messed up the past few days.
It's your own fault.
There's a few days where I just couldn't sleep at night. So I then tried this thing where I tried to stay awake for like the entire 2 days, so I can
then sleep
be tired enough. Yeah, so I can be tired enough to sleep on time the next day. But then I got too tired, like around noon the next day.
And then you went to sleep.
Yeah. So.
Well,
Yeah,
Acorn,
that's I mean, like
you need to
everything's.
you should consider, I don't know, staying off of your PC and phone for like the 2 hours before 10 p.m.
I mean, I think this started because I started reading The Fountainhead, and I was just reading The Fountainhead, and it got me thinking so much, and that was how I started like being unable to fall asleep, and it was not phone
'Cause
related.
yeah.
I got a paperback there. It's a paperback book,
Aw.
and I still couldn't fall asleep.
No. I have a solution for you. I have a solution for you. You need to get a copy of Human Action, right? And then the moment you go to sleep, you just open that, and you'll immediately. It's like a sedative. You'll be gone. You'll be asleep immediately.
I think I have tried reading the first few pages of Human Action, and it was kind of hard for me to get through at the time. So
It's a sedative.
I guess I think that night I was kind of expecting like The Fountainhead to be similar to Human Action, but it was not. It was a lot more
No,
exciting.
it's an exciting book. It's good, bro.
Yeah.
You.
So the trying to fall asleep using the Fountainhead strategy backfired massively. Welcome back, Sulu.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Good idea.
Marx never created a concrete roadmap for what an ideal state would look like. In many of them, he
Okay, so then, like, how is he evaluating that these aren't real Marxism if he never had, by the way, he did, if he never had this concrete roadmap of what you need to do to achieve what he's at, like, what is he advocating for then?
Well, because Stalin was in charge, the workers weren't in charge. That's the problem.
saw economic equality or workers having a large portion of power. So while the media itself would like you to believe that every instance of authoritarianism or repression was in fact this Marxist state, there wasn't a roadmap. Marxism just wanted economic equality, and
Marxism wanted something, did it? Marxism wanted this? Marxism advocates for this? Oh, so they've got a theory of ethics, do they? So they're not determinists, are they? Like, get your story straight here, man.
a state
It sort of
where
reminds me of a Mott and Bailey, where like the Mott is the we're just doing science here, and then the Bailey is okay, we sneak these ethical propositions through. That's just like taken as assumed.
Exactly.
workers retained their rights. And we've never actually seen that. That's the greatest fallacy of modern media, is that there hasn't been a Marxist state. States often labeled as Marxist or socialist or communist, like the Soviet Union or the People's Republic of China, use the Marxist facade, but in fact do not operate in any interpretation of Marxism, where there is.
So there are interpretations of Marxism, okay. But he had no explicit roadmap, and also Marxism-Leninism is not an interpretation of Marxism. Like, I'm confused. What are these true Marxisms? What is true Marxism if there is no true Marxism?
Where the workers' rights have been respected. I'm like, well, maybe no one likes the workers. Like, maybe have you considered, like, whenever someone actually gets in charge of the workers, they suddenly realize, oh my god, I hate workers so much. I hope they suffer, right? This is a joke I say. I sometimes type this into Twitter, but then I I have to backspace, I can't post this. And it's safe for YouTube, but it's basically like, what if the workers deserve to be oppressed? Have you considered that, Mr. Marxist? What if the workers are just bad people? Right? Like, maybe everyone hates the workers because the workers suck.
Okay, I am tweeting that right now, so should have tweeted it earlier, Chronic.
Yeah, you can post it. I tend to avoid posting it because I try not to post too much politics on my X account because I'm trying to make it an art Twitter, It's supposed to be just me posting ANCAP world building, not arguing with people.
Indeed. Okay, yeah, that tweet is live now.
Sometimes I let one through.
Yeah, by the way, did any of you guys get in on the SpaceX IPO?
I'm not yet. I'm like, it's stocks. Buy the stocks. Acorn, buy the stocks. We're going to the moon. We're going to Mars.
It did crash. It's like that old have you guys seen that classic Bitcoin video where he's like, Bitcoin, it went up to $100 and it crashed all the way down to $20. Then it went up to $1,000 and it crashed. And he just keeps going through like all of the peaks and it crashed all the way, and it keeps crashing to higher numbers each time. That's how I'm feeling with my SpaceX.
Where do I find that video? I want to see this.
Yeah, hold on. Let me. Hold on. We're 9 minutes 38 in here. Let's
finish this video.
No. I'm gonna say it. Let's bring up.
Oh no, I found it. It's this YouTube channel called Alex. Don't buy Bitcoin. It's going to crash.
Yeah, okay, so 9 minutes 30. I'm just going to put that in the chat so we can get back to this one. But I got to show this video on stream. It's a brilliant video. And this video is why I buy Bitcoin once per week, every week, at the exact same time.
This one time, Bitcoin went from 6 cents all the way to 36 cents. And then it crashed down to 21 cents. And then another time, Bitcoin went from 85 cents all the way to $29, and then it crashed to $3. And then another time, Bitcoin went all the way to $213, and then it crashed all the way to $70. And then another time, Bitcoin went all the way to $1,100, and then it crashed all the way to $239. So the moral of the story is don't buy Bitcoin, because
Never buy
you
Bitcoin.
know
It's
it's
gonna
going to crash.
You know it's going to crash, dude. You know it's going to crash. So don't buy it.
Never buy Bitcoin.
Turn on the news.
Let's
and you can-
let's get back to this guy. 9 minutes 38 seconds.
Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, that's what my point with that was. I was talking to Chronic about this in DMs before, where I see space as enormously undervalued. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor.
This is science fiction advice, though.
This is my personal opinion. I see space as enormously undervalued. And as it turns out, there isn't actually a stock where I can just spend money on space. So I got to pick a company. And what is the space company right now? Well, it's SpaceX, of course. They are the ones built far and away massively ahead in terms of space infrastructure. And who's going to make all the money when space is finally properly valued and we're properly exploiting space? It's going to be the people who have the infrastructure in place. So my strategy with investing is I'm a hopium investor. I think, what would be the next big thing if people fucking wised up for once? And then I invest in that. Because I decided to do this after I looked at when Nvidia went up massively. And I was like, wait a minute. I knew about AI years ago. And I knew it was going to be a big thing years ago. So I could have predicted that Nvidia would have massively taken off. Because you need to train AI models, of course. They're building the infrastructure. I could have predicted that, and I failed to. So now I'm like, okay, well, what is going to be the next big thing if people wise up a little bit? So I've got stocks in all sorts of high technology places. That's why I'm buying SpaceX. SpaceX, it'll probably go down, right? It probably will. Most companies go down at various points.
Eventually.
And then I'll just look at that as being, well, SpaceX is currently on sale. I can get more of it. And then I'll be
SpaceX is on 60% off.
yeah, and then I'll be even wealthier in the future. And that's why the other day I bought a bunch of stocks in like uranium companies, because it's like, well, what if people wised up and stopped seeing nuclear as like this devil? And that could definitely happen, because there's going to be massively increasing power consumption requirements as AI data centers become more common. So how do you fit those power requirements? Well, you could use nuclear. You can use nuclear, and then I'll make a bunch of money off of all my stocks in like uranium companies and shit like that. And then, you know, I'm currently looking into, like, is there any viable company which might be able to get fusion working, or like room temperature superconductors? I've got a bunch of stocks in different material science companies. I've got stocks in Aspen aerogels. Right, because Aspen aerogels, if you've got all these like superconductors which are like near room temperature, well, you're going to need some pretty good insulation for those things. What is the best insulator I know of? Well, it's aerogel. And Aspen aerogels, they're the only guys who can produce aerogel, so I'm going to put some money in there. Like, this is my investment strategy. I'm the hopium strategy. I am like on the other end of the spectrum from what's his face, the Oracle of Omaha. Warren Buffett. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. There's this story I heard, I believe Peter Thiel tells it, where he was trying to pitch SpaceX to Warren Buffett, and he said, well, I'm not going to invest in Mars, but I will invest in Mars bars, because if we get there, they're going to want to eat chocolate. Which, fair enough. It is an investment strategy which has massively paid off for Warren Buffett, but he's never going to be on the ground floor of the next big thing. I want to be on the ground floor of the next big thing, because I don't have Warren Buffett's skills in terms of like picking out which company's going to go up by like 0.5% and when to sell that company. Like, I don't have those skills. Warren Buffett has incredible skills when it comes to investing, which I just don't have, but I can predict, well, what would be the next logical step in terms of our technological evolution, and try and get in on the ground floor of that thing.
Yeah, the hopium strategy.
It's the hopium strategy, and thus far it is paying off for me massively. I am also like diversified, you know. I'm not retarded. I do have like a bunch of this random like bullshit stocks, like, you know, Costco and shit. Yeah, no, I'm up 5% on my stock portfolio, and it looks like it's just a fucking like.
Nice.
It looks like a goddamn hockey stick, because I was just plateaued forever, and then I suddenly just boop,
Get any money?
shot up. Because I did get on the IPO.
There is economic inequality. Generally, these
Dude, stop doing that cut.
states operate with a concentrated elite at the top that enrich themselves off of the working class. While there have been instances,
You know, somebody's saying, I'm planning on shorting SpaceX in chat. You know what? Respect. If somebody's actually going out there and saying, I think SpaceX at the moment is overvalued, and they're actually shorting the stock, it's like, okay, you put your money where your mouth is. I wouldn't do that. But there's so many people who are saying, there's no way SpaceX is worth however many trillions that it's claiming. Nah. It's way overvalued. It's going to crash at exactly this point. And I'm like, okay, well, short the stock. Short the stock and you'll make a bunch of money. And none of them are shorting the stock. That is ludicrous to me. I can't take you seriously.
of these states lifting up lower classes, as we've seen the rise of the middle class in China. This, in fact, still has to do with capitalism, where the central government in China have operated with.
This has to do with capitalism, where we see the central government in China.
Capitalism is when central government.
Yeah, capitalism is when Chinese Communist Party. And the more Chinese Communist Party you have, the more capitalism you have. Like, can you listen to yourself for 1 second, Lucid Politics, please? I don't want to be too mean to this guy. He seems like a beautiful man to me. But I mean, listen to yourself.
One for the clips.
Yeah. I mean, he's got woman hair, so I've got a turns me on. Listen to yourself for 12 seconds. You're looking at the Chinese Communist Party, and you think, yeah, paragons of capitalism. No, they're communists, right? They're just throwing a bunch of LEDs on every skyscraper and going, look, prosperity.
Well, what I would say with the Chinese Communist Party is, my understanding is basically from watching Prax spend TikToks. So, right, you have the Maoist era where they are real, hardline communists. They're trying to jump into the future via dialectical processes, right? And then you have, when Mao dies and you get Deng Xiaoping in power, and he's like, poverty is not socialism, is what he says, And he's like, let's just let people have a little bit of capitalism, let them have a little bit of capitalism. I mean, and at that time, it's kind of understating the volition of the Chinese people, where they were just kind of starting to be like, we're just going to start privatizing our own farms and doing things on our own, experimenting by ourselves. And then once that started being very successful, the party was like, oh, we need to jump in front of this parade. We need to actually be like, no, yeah, you're right. We should do this. We should do these reforms, right? So there was kind of an autonomous Chinese capitalization, and the party was like, well, this sounds like a good way to maintain our power, right? But anyway, so there was that reform period, and then as I understand now, there's kind of a reversion under the Xi Jinping government, where they're kind of going back into like trying to get state ownership of the economy again. Um, yeah.
It's letting the capitalism build up. It's almost like an explicit form of what we've always been saying the state is the whole time. Where to build up, you need some level of capitalism to build up this capital structure that is then predatorized, parasitized by the state. Right? And they're just doing it explicitly in real time. They just swoop in, take up all this capital. It's like, ooh, that didn't go so well. Let's let a little bit of capitalism go on. Then we come back in. Like, that is China.
It's the cycle of evasion.
Exactly.
Within the capitalist system, and in some places repress their people. This was not a workers' revolution in which workers...
Oh my god, it totally was. Like, look into the Cultural Revolution. This was a workers' revolution. What are you talking about here? It's insane to me.
gain lots of rights.
The Cultural Revolution is such a crazy point in history.
Oh, because it's
Like,
not a workers'
when you
revolution
look
because they didn't gain a bunch of rights. Well, they did gain the rights to fucking seize whatever property they wanted from the bourgeois. What rights didn't they gain that they should have gained under Marxism? What rights are there that they should have gained per Marxism?
Well, you see, the Cultural Revolution is crazy because it's not like there were even bourgeoisie there to kill anymore. Because like the communists won in 1949. The Cultural Revolution starts like the late 50s. 1959 is when the Sino-Soviet split happens, and then you have the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution for the next like 20 years, right? So like the communists had already been in power for like 20 years, right? And then they did the Cultural Revolution, right? And so like during the Cultural Revolution, you had students gaining the right to beat their teachers to death for being like for teaching Western science. You know, Einstein invented the nuclear bomb. That's why we can't teach relativity. Mm-hmm. Really? Okay.
Clearly an evil belief, Kron. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
And help to operate the state. It's in fact a concentrated center of elites.
This is curious. This isn't a response to this guy right now, but it is curious that you could have the concept of like evil knowledge, anti-revolutionary knowledge, because yeah, he invented the general relativity was used to invent the atomic bomb, right? Okay, let's take that. Let's say that because of Einstein we were able to make nuclear bombs. Well, his theory was then successful. It was a successful theory. It did indeed correctly predict physics.
Really, you misunderstand. You need to. It's about class consciousness, right? So if you're using bourgeois science, you're developing a bourgeois consciousness, right? So if you want to become a proletarian, you need to develop a proletarian consciousness. We need proletarian science, right? And so that way, see, that's the only. It's the primacy of consciousness. There you go.
Yeah, it's like, it's insane to me. It's hard to like put yourself in the shoes of somebody who can believe that you can discover correct physics, but that physics is incorrect. Like they love contradictions. Like it's
slightly different, right? It's like it's to do with the allegiance of the theory of the knowledge, right? It's about like what your beliefs say about your allegiances, rather than like whether these like beliefs are literally correct descriptions of reality, right? It's very like a stupid, like socially, it's like that midwit mindset or something, like, you know, am I allowed to believe this? Would society allow me to believe this? Right? That's kind of thing they're trying to inculcate, right? When they do go through that sort of thing. It's like taking that to the next level. It's like, you know, if you believe this, then you all believe it. You are you're a class enemy and you need to be killed.
That enrich themselves while the working class in some cases can climb up the ladder slightly, but continue to be subjugated by a repressive government using capitalist apparatuses. Example.
Okay. This government is repressing people through capitalist apparatuses. So
capitalism would repress people.
The famous capitalist apparatus of having state central planning. Famously capitalist. Like, are we being serious here, Lucid Politics? You can say that it's fascism or whatever. I'll let you make that error. But making the error that state central planning is capitalism. It's the opposite, bro. Like they're repressing people through socialist apparatuses. Like, are we being serious here?
I mean,
Like
I think this is a
Marxists-
mistake that like a lot of people make when they confuse like capitalism for just the status quo, mixed markets. And if they, I mean, if they just mean capitalism by the status quo, then I will agree with them that yeah, sure, capitalism is flawed, but like, so this, I think this goes back to the question of should we try to reclaim like capitalism as just free markets? And is there a difference between the term capitalism and free market? And if like all the normies like don't understand the difference, is there a point in us still using the language of capitalism, even though a lot of normies just think capitalism means status quo?
Yeah, so I am 100% in the camp that we should be proud capitalists. And we should be proud of that term. Because they hate the term capitalism. The things they hate about it is the things we love about it. Right? They don't hate that it's repressive. They're not being honest there. They hate that it allows a company to do what it wants and, you know, hire and fire people at will. They hate the free market aspect of it. That is what they hate about it. And that's what we love about it. So we should absolutely embrace that term.
The one thing I would say about like the use of capitalism by particularly leftists and sometimes normies, they basically don't really mean markets. What they really tend to mean, in the most charitable interpretation, I have to say, is basically when there's a group of people who are owning the means of production, and then there's a group of people who are working who don't own the means of production, right? Who don't own like the factories and the businesses, right? And you know that's how you can say the Soviet Union was state capitalism, right? Because you had the state boards and like the government, like you know the Soviets, like the planners owned the companies, and then you had the laborers who didn't own the companies, right? That's how you have state capitalism, right? And that's how you have state capitalism in China, is because like, well, you have these free market elements, and then you have elements where you have state-owned companies where the bureaucrats own the companies and the laborers don't own the companies, right? And so like basically what the Marxist, like the vulgar Marxist like identifies as capitalism is when there's like a group of people who have the companies and there's a group of people who don't have the companies. But what they fail to analyze is like whether the person who acquired the capital, like the company, like you know the means of production, acquired that through you know business acumen, through like ethical conduct by like actually producing and trading, or whether they're a fucking state bureaucrat.
Mm-hmm.
Of this are state-owned enterprises. We think of state-owned gas companies like Gazprom in modern Russia. We think of the numerous state-owned corporations in China that usually often orient themselves around technology. This is not Marxism. This is not communism or social.
You hit it right on the head there, Chronic. He's going into exactly what you said.
Socialism. This is state-ran capitalism. And through this, they continue to repress people while enriching themselves and gaining more and more resources. So rather
he's almost going down like a capitalism is when bad route. Capitalism is when people enrich themselves and they don't give to others. Like this is why Ayn Rand was so particular with what selfishness meant. There are three options basically. You can be enriching yourself at the expense of others, sacrificing yourself for the benefit of others, altruism, or you can be just selfish and enrich yourself without taking from others, right? This is a whole big... Acorn will, of course, know this. I believe this is in Fountainhead, or it might be Atlas Shrugged. It blends together in my mind a little bit.
I haven't read Atlas Shrugged yet, and I've only done the first two chapters of The Fountainhead, so...
There you go. So,
But
it's all across Rand's fiction, this notion. Like, what does it mean to be truly selfish? It's not... I don't want this... I believe this is in Galt's speech. I want no man to sacrifice himself for me, nor to sacrifice other men for my sake. Right?
I think the primary error people make when they hear Rand say selfishness and they think like I'm gonna eat other people because that's like selfish, right? The primary error is that they are taking desire as like an intrinsic element, right? So like when people hear selfishness, I do what I desire to do. That would be what would be selfish. Like I satisfy my own desires, whether or not those desires are rational, right? So I might desire to be a murderer, and then I go out and murder people, and that'll be a selfish act from that viewpoint, right? But like Rand, when she says selfish, it's not just do what you desire; it's do the things that would be good for you, given the requirements of your life, right? And murdering is not a requirement of your life. Not murdering is a requirement of your life. Being ethical is what the requirements of your life are, right? But the idea of selfishness is that you should be the recipient of the values. Like you are the focus of your actions, right? Not that you should just do whatever pops into your head that you desire to do, right? Because your desires might be irrational. Your desires might not be the right desires, right? So yeah, that's the primary error people seem to make when they misunderstand what is meant by selfishness. It's not that it's not just do what you want, it's do what would be good for you.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's obviously not a whim worshipper. I quite like the way that Roman Viking 95 put it in chat. He puts the trichotomy as sadism, masochism, and production. That's exactly right. That is how objectivists see this. Also, I did the germ. I'll survive the Nazis because I count like this, so I'll survive if I'm ever in Glorious Bastards. Like, I count with the thumb first.
Working class gains very little semblance of power or influence in society. This is no different than capitalist societies that are democratic throughout the world. You think about this in the United States, where we have billionaires that are influencing elections. We have billionaires in Western Europe that are continuing to assert their influence. And just because somebody puts the facade of communism, Marxism...
Let me just go back to that for a second.
Throughout the world. You think about this in the United States, where we have billionaires that are influencing elections.
Billionaires that are influencing elections. So which part of that does he not like? Right, because is he against influencing elections? Well, could you ever be in favor of democracy and be against influencing elections? Well, then you'd want no campaigning whatsoever. No communication.
Like I go to work, right? And I'm talking to my friend about the upcoming federal election in Australia. I'm like, oh, who are you voting for? He's like, oh, I'm voting for Labour. I'm like, oh, you should vote for the Libertarians. And immediately the Australian federal police like encircle the building. They're like, come out, you're guilty of influencing the election.
Like, yeah, this is nonsense. And this is because it sounds bad to a normie when you say influencing an election. It sounds nefarious in some way. It's like, surely that's what elections are about. In the Steelman case for democracy, you would want to be able to influence an election. You influence an election by voting. By voting, you influence the outcome of that election.
I think what he's getting at by saying billionaires influencing elections is that they're influencing it disproportionately to how other people will influence it. So it's basically based on the Snook premise of equality. That like billionaires influence it disproportionately. So
exactly.
I actually think this works as that, because I think that like imagine if like there was a disproportionate influence towards communism, right? Imagine that there was like, you know, the communist billionaire from China, and he's like financing a way to the election of the American Communist Party, or the CPUSA, you know. I think this guy would be very happy about that. Like it's not that it's disproportionate. It's just that he's influencing the election away from the thing he wants to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And then this gets back to what Praxman usually says, is that most people don't actually like democracy, right? And it's not the Hoppian, like, you know, he's arguing basically like most people only like democracy when the thing that they want gets in, right? They're like, oh, I love democracy, as long as it's the communists who are winning the election. I love democracy as long as it's the Labour Party in power. But the moment that the people start voting for something that they don't like,
that's
suddenly
fascism.
Democracy is being unduly influenced, right? It's like we can't have this influence in our politics of undemocratic elements, right? It's like, what do you mean undemocratic? It's exactly what the people voted for.
Anti-revolutionary, Chronic. It's anti-revolutionary.
It's anti-revolutionary. Yeah. So basically, like, I think the real case here is not that like they don't want outsized influence in democracy. They don't want like it's just that they just want their side to win. If the Democratic vote is for the thing they like, that's democratic. If the Democratic vote is for the thing they don't like, that's undemocratic. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We have billionaires in Western Europe that are continuing to assert their influence. And just because somebody puts the facade of communism, Marxism, or socialism onto the title of their state.
I will say, I do hope that Lucid Politics, he does watch this, and maybe we can have like a debate out of it or something. I think it would be good. Obviously we're shitting on him quite heavily here, but this guy isn't like your average 42 subscriber YouTube channel. He's clearly putting a lot of effort into this, and as we know by the labor theory of value,
that means it's high value.
That means it's high value. But
I
yeah,
want to say, like, just by the physiognomy check, he doesn't look very ugly, which means that he must be spiritually in the right place.
Mhm.
He just kind of wants good things to happen. He's just misguided. So maybe we could.
and as Acorn will know from reading The Fountainhead, Ayn Rand was a big believer in physiognomy, at least for her fictional characters. All of the evil characters, she describes them as grotesque monsters. All of the good characters are Giga Chad.
Giga Chad energy, let's go.
That does not in fact make it socialist. So with this, we have a world shaped by capitalist structures where elites manipulate narratives around nationalism, ideology, to pit workers.
Manipulate narratives. What specifically does that mean? Does it mean they're just giving their own take on it?
It's the same thing as having outsized influence in the Democratic election. It's when you put out news, you're manipulating the narrative.
Yeah.
When you write articles, then you put out media, you're manipulating the narrative. That's what you're doing.
You're manipulating the narrative unless you're manipulating it in favor of socialism. In which case,
we're manipulating the narrative right now. We're on this live stream. That's what we're doing. We're manipulating the narrative around socialism.
He's manipulating the narrative around Marxism.
Yeah, he's literally doing that because he was lying about what Marxism was earlier. He was saying like, well, Marx said it was likely that communism was a rise. It's like, no, he's explicitly saying it's inevitable. Communism is inevitable. But he's not manipulating the narrative because he's advocating for Marxism. Therefore, he can't be a manipulator. We're being the anti-revolutionaries here. Sorry, guys.
And the working lower and middle classes against each other so they can continue to entrench themselves in power. Understanding that we have not in fact had a Marxist state before, states that label themselves as socialist or Marxist are in fact operating within a capitalist system, and understanding that academics use the Marxist theory to identify systemic inequalities in society and understand patterns of political mobilization is useful because it helps us to demystify the reality of what Marxism is, and that in fact many people in the news media and on social media that demonize Marxism are actually doing it for their own benefits to continue to entrench themselves in a system that supports the capitalist elites, the media elites, and to ensure that labor-based...
I mean, there's nothing more to say than to just loudly sigh at this guy at this point. Buzzwords.
Class-based political action,
demystifying the situation. I feel like the Marxist approach really mystifies the situation. It's because you have these historical processes which are acting like way above you in some way that are just kind of pushing history in a certain direction. It's like, well, how can I see that in my life? How can I see that in the world I actually exist in? And it's like, well, you just see like these capitalist forces. The capitalists are oppressing you. So you just kind of have to I think that's kind of why they got this super application where everyone kind of just sees capitalism when they see bad thing. It's because there actually is no specific understanding of capitalism as a specific kind of arrangement of property rights, of ethics, of this is what capitalism is. It's capitalism is one bad thing, and so therefore whenever you have bad things you can call that capitalism, right?
Is continue to be perceived as a stain on society and something that shouldn't happen. So recognizing that
again, he's doing this ethical language, a stain on society. What does that mean, Mr. Scientist? You're a Marxian scientist, of course. What is a stain on society in purely scientific terms? What does that mean? Of course, he won't be able to fucking answer.
I had this argument with this guy who's like, I mean, he calls himself a pragmatist, and he has a very big influence from Marxism, right? So he's an academic, he's a humanities student, right? And I was talking to him about natural law, and he's like, yeah, sure, for sure, I believe in natural law, you know. And then like I kept talking to him, and he contradicted himself. He's like, wait, so do you believe in natural law or not? It's like I have this feeling like 90 most of these Marxists who use this ethical language, they're like very judgmental, like capitalism's evil, there should not be billionaires, I think it's unethical to have billionaires. If you ask them like, well, do you believe that there's like natural moral like what are the ethical requirements for human life, right? Do they actually believe like in a secular natural ethics? Do they think there's like there's an objective set of standards that humans should like live by? No, I think most of them would be like, well, no, I think we're just kind of like, we're kind of apes, hairless apes on a ball through space, and they'll know it. It's like the what would it be?
The
Like
Grand Canyon argument.
Grand Canyon, like nihilist, like, man, there's no point. We're not like important in the grand scheme of the universe, blah blah blah. So that, and like there's no God to make rules for us, right, or whatever. It's like I feel like that's probably what they would fall into if they weren't wanting to complain about capitalism.
To clarify the Grand Canyon argument for those who are not familiar, I get this from Leonard Peikoff. So let me. This is in the Fountainhead. So Acorn, you'll get to this at some point. May I name another vicious bromide you've never felt? Which one? You've never felt how small you were when looking at the ocean. He laughed. Never. Nor looking at the planets, nor at the mountain peaks, nor at the Grand Canyon. Why should I? When I look at the ocean, I feel the greatness of man. I think of man's magnificent capacity that created this ship to conquer all that senseless space. When I look at the mountain peaks, I think of tunnels and dynamite. When I look at the planets, I think of airplanes. The Grand Canyon argument goes like this. Humans are just intelligent monkeys floating on a ball of dust in the middle of an infinite universe. We aren't really that special, so don't get any highfalutin delusions of grandeur. And of course, Leonard Peikoff named this argument. As it's often reportedly, and it's often repeated upon seeing the Grand Canyon.
There are two aspects of Marxism. The first being a critical theory used by academics.
Critical theory.
Critical again.
Where does he get that from, I wonder?
To understand how capitalism creates and reproduces inequalities, from that of the Marxism in practice, where there are instances of political movements that created states that ultimately weren't a...
Doesn't the Marxist academics, don't they predict that the state would then wither away, though? But it didn't wither away, so that scientific theory is wrong. What about that one?
Disproven by the hypothetical deductive method. Inductica would be ashamed of us. We had a hypothesis, communism would work, and then we ran the experiment, and then we found this result, and the result contradicts the hypothesis. So by the hypothetical deductive method, we've determined that this theory is false. We've done it.
Boom! And that's why I'm punching down on this guy. Of course, I'm punching down on him. We just punched down on his whole theory of fucking science. By trying out, he predicted that it was going to lead to the state withering away, and I punched down on him by showing that the state didn't wither away. So get punched down on, bro.
I mean, I think at the start he mentioned some of his credentials. I can't remember what they were, but like...
He was a political scientist of some sort.
It just really doesn't sound like it, unless like all political scientists just sound like normies, but like...
I think that's probably the case.
Yeah, he doesn't try to make any ethical arguments at all. All he does is state a bunch of buzzwords and like sneak in some ethical premises. Like there's no philosophical argument in there at all.
I don't want to be too mean to the political scientists, because like that's, I mean, they do study real stuff, but like the humanities, if you study a humanities subject, particularly political science, you're basically going to get like a pragmatist view of politics. Right, it's like, well, these countries implemented these policies, which resulted in these things, and then these countries implemented these policies, which resulted in these things. So you can just see, based on the implementation of policies, what the thing might happen, and then you can implement the appropriate policies to get the thing you want to happen.
Yeah, it's right? Post hoc ergo propter hoc as a field.
Yeah, basically, exactly.
Equal socioeconomic
I might be
view of
oversimplifying
society,
a bit. I do have a little bit more respect for the political scientists than that.
I mean, I don't. Can you explain your respect for it?
Only because I have at least one friend who who studies political science, and so I can't be mean to him. It would be cruel.
Well, I
I
can
have
be
a
mean
friend-
to him, so I'm gonna punch down on him too. I'm punching down on him too. He's actually punched my actual monitor there. I was busy.
Oh my god,
doing
he's
shit.
violent.
I'm violent. And everybody smash that like button and smash it so hard you also punch your monitor. And keep smashing it.
Get your
we gonna do
iPad
it?
and punch the like button.
Punch down on that like button, boys. Now my monitor's all fucking askew. I'll have to fix that afterwards.
My god, Zulu punches the wall and the building collapses. He's the world's weakest libertarian. He collapses a building.
I didn't even make contact. It was like that punch that Thrag did, where he like winds up and he's like a fucking airbender. He like pulls on man.
Creates a vacuum in the air. The air. Oh my god.
The Marxist or communist label to entrench themselves in power is a way to deepen our understanding and assure that people can't misuse this term for their own benefits. And we're seeing this throughout the news media.
You can see this guy thinks he's like, so I don't want to psychoanalyze too much, but I gotta. He like with the music and like the pacing of his voice and everything, he feels like he's so fucking like he's just it. He is the it boy. Like he's we're gonna it's like it's the speech at the end of every mediocre piece of media ever, where the fucking we're gonna tear down the fucking the oppressive barriers of this society. Every YA novel has this speech at the end of it.
Media and on social media, where capitalist economic elites want to ensure that working class people don't come together, because people together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep pausing on this because I just he's not saying anything. Half Hippo was asking, I assume that punching down is a joke from earlier. I miss. Yeah, it's just because he's got 42 subscribers, so I'm punching down on him because I've got 17,000 subscribers. And I'm punching down on this guy.
This gigantic Zulu beating up on weak, low count YouTubers. He's very, very cruel individual.
I'm a cruel person.
Are more powerful in mass. So recognizing that there is an academic view of Marxism that identifies capitalism and socioeconomic inequalities from it as a understanding for patterns in society, from that of Marxism in practice, where
Did I accidentally rewind? He said this exact thing like earlier in the same speech. Like we're looping here, bro.
instances of revolution.
I'm reviewing the video, you see. I'm reviewing that his script writing is poor because he's looping right now. I get that. I get it, bro. I get it. Now there's this academic view of Marxism versus this other fucking whatever view of Marxism, where it's Marxism in practice, and it's not the same as the academic version. I get it, bro. You said that already.
Practice dichotomy, ladies and gentlemen. Uh-oh. That can't be good.
This video is giving me pain.
Use the label of Marxism, but did not implement Marxist states, helps us to ensure that.
Okay, they didn't implement Marxist states. Could they have? Because your point from earlier was that if you have a state at all, then it's not Marxism. But Marx said he wants the dictatorship of the proletariat, and then he predicts that from that the state will wither away. So what is the Marxist state then? What is the true dictatorship of the proletariat if what was tried before wasn't it? What is it? Come on, man.
People in power don't demonize this term and use it for their own benefit. So in some,
Jesus Christ.
Marxism as a political theory is still widely.
Cut again.
Just stop. Every time it happens, it pisses me off more. Like, why did you just don't add the paper? Just don't add the paper. Just do the cut. Just don't add the paper, please. I get it. I shouldn't punch down too much. He's got like 42 subscribers. It's probably a brand new channel. So, you know, he'll learn to get better at editing, of course. I encourage everybody to go out there and try and make videos. If your first video is as high quality as this, you're probably doing pretty well. Like, this is a high quality enough video. Like, this is higher quality than my first video, certainly. I was making worse videos than this at 42 subscribers. So I don't want to sound like I'm too mean to this guy or anything. But goddamn, that weird paper cut, it's very strange to me. Don't do that any longer. Again, I don't want to sound too mean to this guy. This is like an acceptable video. Like, it's not actively like punishing to watch this apart from the things he's saying.
Subscriber YouTuber.
Yeah.
He's doing okay. He'll be fine.
Everybody go smash the like button on this guy's video. I don't know. Go smash into your...
Skyrocket this guy's engagement metrics so that he gets to be the new peak breadtuber, so that we can finally have someone who's nice to look at the front of breadtube.
I will say you should probably give up on the hairline at this point. I probably shouldn't say that. That's too mean. But I'm trying to be nice with it. Like, there is this subreddit, like r/bald or something, which a friend of mine who's also a YouTuber, who's bald, he showed me this. Like, it's a bunch of before and after pics of people where they have like hairlines going way back, then they shave their hair and they just look way better. Like, this guy, he has a nice head shape.
Yeah.
I think he would look a lot better if he shaved his hair. Of course, I have very little room to speak when it comes to hair. Because I mean, until very recently, I had crazy hair. So take it with a grain of salt.
Einstein hair, bro.
Yeah, he can have whatever hair he wants. Of course, I don't care. He's allowed to do what he wants with his head. But I'm just trying to make like a compliment sandwich or something here. This guy's gonna go places, certainly.
Use to interpret how class perpetuates inequalities. It helps identify patterns in places like cities that we live in and how we live our everyday lives. It can help us identify who the elites are that control the resources, how labor is influenced, how we live in cities, and all of these are useful tools for helping academics to understand.
Did the white balance just change?
Literally unwatchable.
Am I going crazy, or did the white balance change? I might be going crazy.
I'm not paying enough attention to have noticed.
I mean, it might have just been like he filmed this at like 2 different points or something. I don't know. Unwatchable. Delete the channel. Delete it.
Reform the YouTube for changing the white balance.
For animal abuse, because I'm gonna kick my dog because of that.
Oh my god! How you can't say that? That's ruined. That's ruined. Oh,
why spend the effort kicking your dog when you can just get a shot collar to do it for you?
Oh no! Oh dear.
World. At the same time, the term has been weaponized. It's thrown around as a catch-all boogeyman for all things right-wing media figures don't like. Cases like China and the Soviet Union are not examples of Marxism, but they're examples of entrenched elites using the capitalist structures.
Literally what Chronix was saying. Literally.
Capitalism is when bad. Bro.
Capitalism is when entrenched elites.
When one group of people own the stuff and another group of people do the work. That's basically it.
That's what it is. Unless it's dictatorship of the proletariat, and then it turns, and then the state withers away. If the state withers away, then it was then in retrospect, it was communism.
If we reach anarcho-capitalism, the thing we had before that was communism. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
The horseshoe effect, the Rothbardian horseshoe. If we finally reach anarcho-capitalism, whatever we had before was communism.
Now you're getting it. Now you're getting it.
Of the world to their own benefit while repressing their citizens. So who does this actually serve? The rich.
We're just trying to skip history. We're trying to reach the end. We don't want to go to the communist phase. We want to go directly to anarcho-capitalism. Please.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, high time preference.
We agree. We just want to get there way quicker than you guys. We're just gonna speed run this.
The most consistent.
We are high time preference communists.
You know what? Given that we are speed runners, I'm gonna turn on my live split. And
well, no, look, because we've scientifically understood the process by which history progresses, we can now manipulate it, and therefore we can manipulate it into skipping phases of history. It's like a sequence break in a video game. We are speedrunning. We're speedrunning history.
Yes, I've turned on the green timer, so we are now speed running anarcho-capitalism, boys.
Anarcho-capitalism speedrun. Let's go.
Fox News wants you to believe that everything is fair. All the while,
Fox News wants you to believe everything is fair. Is that what he just said?
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, I'm barely paying attention to the content of the
so
words
who does
anymore.
this actually serve? The rich talking heads on Fox News want you to believe that everything is fair. All the while.
What? No, they don't. What are you even talking about? They believe some things are unfair. Like, what are you saying? What are you saying right now?
Immigrants coming into the country is unfair to the American people.
Newsbreak, Fox News supports immigrants coming in.
Holy shit. It's unfair to have immigrants blocked, but it's also unfair to have immigrants come in. So it's just, we're always unfair. Life is unfair.
It's Malcolm in the middle.
Life is fair. Everything's fair.
While they get to go home to their Fifth Ave penthouse apartment, while millions of Americans struggle to put food on the table.
I mean, you can see here the roots of this ideology and envy. They gotta have all this stuff, and I gotta go home to a fucking shithole. It's envy. Like, just say you're envious.
What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. You know, that's what that's the song.
Boss, I make a penny. Boss makes $1.
Well, maybe you should generate $1 in marginal value labor product. You know, and you'll start earning more. 5 head.
Put gas in their cars. Simultaneously, billionaires are infiltrating public.
How do you get gas in your cars? How is the gas produced? Is it produced by a massive capital apparatus where you're going to have somebody front the fucking money, front the fucking capital? Might that person become a billionaire? Like, think of cause and effect, man. Think of cause and effect.
You don't understand. The billionaires, they have the gas, right? So if you just tax all their stuff, you can just take their gas and give it to the poor, you know?
Oh my god.
All the rich people just have the gas naturally.
There's this fucking tweet where somebody was saying that, like, SpaceX was, like, expropriating or something. I was like, okay, so there was already self-driving electric cars and reusable rockets in nature, and then Elon Musk just hoarded them all. Is that what happened? Like,
exactly. Eventually, we're just gonna have to start taxing the planet Earth, right? Wait a minute. What is that? That's not environmentalism. Oh, fuck. The planet Earth is the only thing that's entitled to keep its wealth. We're not allowed to tax the planet Earth. They have to have a 0% Earth tax rate. That's the environmentalist position.
That's the thing. We're way more radical Marxists than these guys. We want to tax we want to tax Gaia, who has all the wealth. We want to tax her and take that wealth and redistribute it.
We want to tax God.
We're taxing God.
That should be where everyday citizens have access to power. In America,
we're going to have 100% wealth tax on God. You know, we're going to take all of nature for ourselves.
It's everyday citizens should have access to power. How do they get access to power? How does that happen? Right? Does it happen because some bureaucrat says increase power production? No, because it's got to be workers. So he doesn't want state capitalism. So how does that? Please explain your economic model. In this video on what is Marxism, explain the economic model.
Electricity comes from the electricity box at your house. So that's that. So everyone should get an electricity
just
box.
Plug it in. Just plug it into the wall.
Exactly. As an electrician, I can confirm that's exactly how it works. You just get a thing and it makes electricity, and you just get, you know, you just get it. You get what you want. That's it.
Exactly.
We should continue.
And the reason that not everybody has an electrical box is because all the electric companies are hoarding the boxes. You just gotta do a 100% tax and just completely take everything from the electric companies, and then everyone can have electricity. You
just need to redistribute the electrical boxes, and then everyone can have electricity.
You gotta punch down on the electrical companies as the state, and then they can redistribute all the electricity.
Plumbers, or electricians, computer programmers,
Brother, do you know how much fucking plumbers make? Like, goddamn.
Oh yeah,
plumbers are way wealthier.
Earns a lot of money.
I had this fucking friend as a kid, and his dad was a plumber, and I went to his house at one point. He used to live in a shithole, and then I went to his house a little bit later. He was in a fucking like 3-story mansion. Like, what the because his dad is like a fucking plumber. He owns a fucking plumbing company.
It's the most funny thing. Like tradespeople are the proletarians, right? Like tradespeople, construction laborers, this is the proletarians. They are selling their labor. Except actually in reality, most tradespeople eventually become like capitalists in that they
Exactly.
own a bunch of tools, they own a car. Often they just start running their own business. And it's like, wait, so these like laborers, they end up actually accumulating a bunch of tools and a bunch of like actual like, human capital as in terms of like marketable skills. And then suddenly they become like extremely wealthy. And except you only see this in capitalist countries where people are allowed to own their own, they're allowed to own the means of production.
Exactly.
As opposed to the Marxist-Leninist countries where the people own the means of production. So, as a mechanic, you have to return all your tools to the bureau, since it's owned in collective by the people. Unfortunate.
That seems to be like the life cycle of pretty much every tradie. Is they start out working for somebody else because they don't have any like, they might not even have skills. They might be learning on the job, right?
That's apprenticeship. Yeah, you start as an apprentice. So like, I'll yap a bit about tradespeople because I did not finish my apprenticeship. I did like 9 months of an electrician's apprenticeship before deciding that I want to work from home in my underwear, right? But I mean, I would recommend it if you like want to. The thing is, I was doing construction and I don't like working hard. I'm a lazy person, right? But if you're not a lazy person, right? If you start as an apprentice, right, you'll get paid okay. I got paid $15 an hour, which was not great, especially because it's Australian. But like, I got paid, but I also got like, because Australia has some government intervention in how apprenticeships are done, you get like a stipend for your tools, you get like a travel allowance if you need to drive long distances, whatever, right? Who cares? But you do an apprenticeship, you learn, and then once you're done with your apprenticeship, you get your electrician license. And then once you have that, as far as I understand, like most people who are fully licensed electricians, they earn really good money, right? And you can just start your own business. You'll have acquired a bunch of tools from being an apprentice, right? Because I mean, you paid for them yourself, but you will have acquired these tools and learned how to use them. You'll have gained skills. You will have gained contacts because being working as an apprentice under a full electrician, he knows a bunch of people, and then you will start knowing those people as well. And obviously, you know the guy you worked for, so you have a bunch of contacts. You have a bunch of tools. You have a bunch of skills. You've worked in the industry, so now you're just like really well set up to get into the industry and keep working and making lots of money. And basically, what I would suggest is, if you're gonna get into the trades, I would try to do something other than construction, because construction is like the number one trade, the number one
just destroy your body,
trades, right? And I mean, it is really difficult. You're not going to destroy your body like if you are smart, like if you don't.
If you make a company, if you save up and make a company, then you don't have to do it any longer.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, like, I did electrical, and I was very careful about how I treated my body. I always wore ear protection. I was careful about like not hurting myself. But there are people who just kind of like they just throw their body into it because they don't know better, right? So you don't have to destroy your body. But my point is, it's very strenuous work, and also in construction electrical, you don't really learn the full utility of electrical trade. What I mean by that is like, I went to vocational school, but most of the things I learned at vocational school weren't really relevant to construction, because in construction electrical, all you really do is you run cables, and then you wait for the people to put up the drywall, and then you cut open the walls, and you put up your power points and your light switches and your external switches for the heaters, and you wire up the distribution box, right? And that's basically everything in construction electrical. Whereas like there's a lot more skill in like industrial automation, which is that's an electrical, like that's an electrical like job, but that requires like it's much more higher skill job, and it gets paid much better, right? So, and it's also like much slower work, so you can really take your time and like be not destroying your body even by accident, right? Like you generally get to be more patient with it, and I think that's a real big perk with that kind of job. You don't always want to be like, get this thing done yesterday, and also you're behind schedule, right? That's what construction is a lot of times. Everyone's like always trying to get shit done ASAP. There's no like, break to it. But yeah, you will become rich if you do a trade, because like trades are really, really highly valuable. I mean, if you learn welding and you go work for SpaceX, you might become a millionaire.
Yep.
Right. So, And this is only really possible if you don't live in a communist country. Because if you live in a communist country, right, like what are they going to... They're not going to give you stock options in the Politburo, in the wealthy
and
bureau,
therefore
right?
there will be no startups. Because the way a startup happens
Exactly.
is they don't have enough money to actually pay everybody the normal market rate because they're not established. So they give you stock options instead. And if everybody works hard and makes this a really successful company, they can end up making a way more money than they would have otherwise. I just lost connection there for a second.
You need low time preference. I still hear you fine. I haven't lost
No,
connection.
I lost connection to the YouTube share.
Oh,
Can you give
talking so long?
Can you give me back
That's weird,
host?
Like, aren't you the host?
Chronic
Hang on,
is the
let me,
host now.
Let me leave.
Oh,
I'm
I
the
see.
host now. How do I give you the host?
You should be able to, if you unexpand the video, you should be able to give it to me.
Oh yeah, here we go. Liquid Zulu is now hosting. There you go.
There we go. Right, let's. What the flip?
We should probably finish the video.
Does anybody remember at what point in the video we were at? Okay, there we go.
And pursue
15
power
minutes.
through the structures
Oh,
that
give
were
or take.
given to them. We should see senators and house members that are farmers.
I think it's
or
15 minutes and like
bartenders,
20 or
because
30
they-
seconds.
I'm sure
we're
someone on the
at
stream
we're
can
at it.
tell us.
Are you guys not
very
seeing
good.
this?
I am not. I'm seeing the don't buy
activity-
Bitcoin is going to crash.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Oh, try leaving
Let
and
me leave the
rejoining.
activity and come back.
Yeah. Whilst we're doing that, I can read the super chats. Let's see here.
Oh my god, this
Lice-
is the buggiest piece of software.
Yeah, it's so terrible. I really need to get the fucking Jellyfin server
I
working.
should go to Claude Code and I should ask Claude, hey, can we make a Discord alternative that's not bad, please? Thank you. And then make no mistakes.
Make no
ultra think.
mistakes.
And then make no mistakes, ultra think, and then we'll have a Discord alternative. It'll be based, it'll work, it'll do everything Discord does, except it'll never break. Yeah.
So we got Griff One None for $5 US. Thank you very much. Lysenko to me is the best refutation to the Marxism is a science. I'm not too familiar with that one.
Oh, Lysenko, you should know this. It's the guy who rejected genetics in the Soviet Union. He was like, genetics is not real, it's bourgeois science. And he's like, okay, so the plants, okay, we should plant the plants closer together because then they will experience solidarity, and that way they will grow faster. And then literally, and then that was state doctrine because Stalin liked Lysenko for some reason, right? And so no one was allowed to disagree with this man, right? And you'll never guess, but there was a famine.
I wonder what caused it. They were being so scientific, you see.
They're being they should have had class. The plants must have been anti-revolutionary.
Yeah, the anti-revolutionary plants. We purged the plant population of anti-revolutionary individuals.
And then we got Ariel David 95 for $5 US. Thank you very much. By trying to prevent influencing elections, you'd be influencing elections. Yep, exactly. Now we got Griff One None for $2 US. Thank you very much. Clarify Marxism? Bastardization. Indeed. You can't clarify. You can't be clear with what you're talking about. Because that's manipulating the data. Or whatever the fuck he said. Manipulating democracy. Like, it is so much... You know, one thing we take kind of for granted is that we can just say, no, democracy is a bad thing. Like that is something we take for granted, and it is so freeing to just be able to say democracy is a bad thing. And Griff One None is saying that Lysenko was an influence on the Chinese famine too, so there you go.
Probably, yeah. I mean, like, the Chinese famine is also like, oh yeah, we killed all of the birds that are killing the pests. And now the pests have eaten all the food. And also, we took all the farm machinery and we converted it to pig iron so we could try to make steel, and it didn't work. It's like, oh, real good move there, Mao. Leaping forward into the future, right? Oh yeah, I was gonna say something about democracy. It's really annoying to argue about democracy because, like, most people, like the normie, like the regular like person, and everyone who like thinks about this realizes democracy is voting, right? That's what democracy is. Democracy is when we vote. Either we vote directly to input policy in the state, or we vote to elect people who then vote to input policy in the state. That's what democracy is, right? Everyone agrees, right? Except no, there's like a subsection of humanities students who insist that's not what democracy is. Democracy is not just when we vote. Democracy is when the people have a voice in politics, and it's a participatory political system. I'm like, what? Everyone is participating in every political system. What are you on about? Stalin is participating in his political system. It's a democratic state par excellence. Let's go.
I mean, when you said that like democracy is when people vote, I think we need to be clear that democracy is not just when people vote. I don't care if people vote. What I care is that their vote is being used to legitimize the state. Like that's what democracy is. Like I don't care if like people just go in their house and just put a piece of paper in a box or something. And then
that's what I mean by voting. Like voting is where like the processes of the state are decided by popular like decision from the people, right? By voting. Right. That's
but
what,
actually,
that's what I mean
by it. It's a constitutional republic, not a democracy.
Oh my god! I wish we had the Constitution, and the Constitution just said the non-aggression principle, right? And then we could just go home.
But of course, the Constitution does say one thing, which is that the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, and of course, that's being upheld. The Constitution is being upheld in the U.S. The right to keep and bear arms is not currently being infringed, so don't worry about it, guys.
I mean, I just find it really baffling how normies will endorse democracy if they understand that, like, democracy is then their votes are being used to legitimize the state. Like, they don't seem to understand that this will basically legitimize Nazism because the Nazis basically got voted into power, right? Like,
anyone who believes in democracy, right? Like, the moment you hit them with the reductio, like, well, what if we voted to like kill everyone? And like, no, that's not real democracy. Real democracy is when we vote for good things. Like, or real democracy is when people
not good things. When we vote for democratic things, Chronic.
Yeah, it's the democracy when we vote for things that are democratic.
These
God.
Public houses, these forms of government were built for everyday citizens to ascend to the heights of power, not for billionaires to buy their way into public office. When wealth becomes the only ticket to influence, we should ask the question, who benefits from casting working class aspirations as radical or dangerous? Understanding this isn't just an academic exercise or...
It's not just an academic exercise. So, okay, so there's the academic Marxism and then the Marxism in practice. Okay, so what is the Marxism in practice? What is that? Is it the Soviet Union? It's not the Soviet Union. What is it then? Glug, glug, glug. I looked like I was sucking a cock there.
Burma is Marxism in practice. Long live the Burma. Long live the Burmese state.
Well,
wait, no, wasn't there a coup?
in Burkina Faso, they are the only formerly French colonized nation in sub-Saharan Africa to produce their own tomato concentrate. So, what do you have to say to that, Chronic?
The French have been ruined, destroyed.
Or a reinterpretation of how history has been manipulated. It's a way for us to move past the fear-mongering and question if society is structured in a way that benefits all people. I think it's important for us to reinterpret these key issues so we can build a society that empowers everybody. And with that, the more we know, the more we talk, the better a future.
How literally do you empower everyone? Like, what does that literally mean? That everybody has the power of a dictator? Well, surely not, because that would be a contradiction. Well, I suppose you guys like contradictions. So, what is the maximum amount of empowering that you could have distributed? Is surely the non-aggression principle.
No, Zulu, I'm having this radical Marxist communist idea. Okay, hear me out. Okay, what we'll do, we'll have it so that everyone is entitled to things that they produce and trade for, and that way they can own the means of production by acquiring them from the natural environment or by trading with other proletarians for it. And that way, we'll have everyone be empowered, but we'll also make it so that everyone has power balance because their power is according to how much they are producing for society. You know, that's my radical Marxist-Leninist, Marxist-chronicist implementation of communism. I'll call it proprietarian Marxism. You know,
there you go. There you go. That seems like it pretty much solves everything.
Yeah,
especially Marxist now.
We'll have a self-regulating communist Marxist economy. Communism.
Yeah, we have. I'm proud to announce we have now because you just achieved anarcho-capitalism. We have speed ran that in under 20 minutes.
Based, we did
Stop
it.
the clock.
Quick, stop the live split.
Stop the clock. Stop the clock.
Stop the There you go. 2011, it says. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
We did it, boys.
And
We
our
did it.
capitalism acquired.
I gotta upload that to speedrun.com under the, I don't know, the fucking Skyrim category or some shit.
The Skyrim category. the dialectical materialism category at speedrun.com.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we're done. Thank you everybody who came in and watched. Thank you for my co-hosts Acorn and Chronic, and thank you especially to those who donated. Unfortunately, the recent membership did get retracted, but thank you very much for that.
I will take this opportunity to shill the Super Boy Boys channel. I'm sure if you type that into the YouTube search bar, that's going to be my channel. That is my channel. And within 7 days, I promise I'll be uploading the Arrow of Regression video. And then also, I have another novel like development to share, which I call the utilization border problem or theorem, which is basically, it's a way of trying to figure out exactly where the border ends on a property boundary when someone is using a thing. So like you were talking about like the solar panel problem, where like I have a solar panel. Am I using the sun, and therefore do I own the sun, or can someone block the sun from my solar panel? And I have a really good solution to that problem. That's like really clear. Like kind of gets rid of the continuum problem involved there, where you don't even worry about that anymore. I think I have a good solution to that problem. So that's also going to come up pretty soon.
Looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. So everybody check out the Super Boy Boys channel. Whenever that pops up, I'll probably post about it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, probably will post it on. I'll link you to it, and then you'll probably post it on the Discord and then Twitter.
Yep. All right.
That makes sense.
Goodbye. Time to